It's really no match for her. Little Elu is indeed the strongest. After seeing the strength of those monsters, she went to heads up. There is really a fool like her. It's really frustrating. The other contestants were completely speechless to Erza. Obviously, this method is unacceptable to her. If you are a little careless, something big will happen. I really like to mess around. Team Fairy Tale gets 10 points. Mr. Pumpkin appeared in time. Well, after discussion, we decided that the remaining 7 teams should also decide the ranking. We arranged a simple game, although it was a bit boring. It is the Magic Power Meter MPF. As long as you attack the qualified device with magic power, it will show the power value of magic power, and we will use this value to determine your ranking. After hearing the rules of Mr. Pumpkin, many players were helpless. The main reason is that there are too many strong people in these competitions. It is impossible to get a high ranking, so after hearing this method, I was thinking about what to do. Team B. Allah, will Lagoses be second in this case? Mira Jane asked. Gajeel said, the Holy 10 is still there, so it's difficult. As the Holy 10, Jura's magic power is definitely very strong, and it is not easy to get the second place. Juvia also did not express her opinion. Dieter, who was sitting next to him, propped his chin and watched the game outside. Shaking his head. If we really want to fight, Lagoses may be able to defeat Santa Tensera, but the test of magic value is not good for him. Dieter didn't disparage Lagoses too much. If Tiara really wants to fight with him, then it is appropriate for Lagoses to win. The purpose of Fairy Tale has always been not magic as its own responsibility, but the bonds of faith and companions. In the case of Rage, the strength of the fairy magician can be doubled. This is also the reason why Natsu and Grey or Erza are not strong enough. In normal state, it is difficult for Lagoses to surpass Santa Sarah in mana. So we're going to be number 3. Mira Jane concluded. Dieter affirmed. It's okay, isn't there a fight part? We still have hope of reaching the top. Several people nodded. The following games were all played by Dieter and Lagoses. Then it's really not that hard to get to the top. The magic value test on the field has arrived in Lagoses. After looking at Saint Tenjura's value of more than 8,000, he also gave up competing for the first position in the magic test. Thunder Dragon Fang Tianji. He didn't use the strongest Dragon Slayer Profound Truth, because he didn't want to consume too much magic power in this part. According to the organizer's temperament, he might be arranged to fight with Raventail. Of course. That's what Dieter said while waiting in the morning, and he found it very beneficial. Compare. The score is rising, and it will soon surpass the Tiger of Swordbite, but it is impossible to surpass the Holy 10. Congratulations to the Fairy Tale B team for winning the 3rd place in the 3rd day of the competitive stage. Then it's about to start our battle part today, Pumpkin-kun announced. All the players present came off the field. Lagoses also got off the field, and he didn't feel any bad about this ranking. Welcome back. Good work. Mira Jane greeted. Dieter also nodded. Raventail will definitely cheat, you have to be careful. Not necessarily. Although Lagoses said so, but also very much hope that this is the truth. Soon the sound of the announcement was heard. The Big Devil Day 3, Battle Part, Mermaid Heel Miliana vs 4 Puppies Sems. Prickly, winner Miliana. Second match, Rufus vs Blue Pegasus, Eve Tialm. Instant snap. The winner is Rufus of the Tiger Bite, he is really strong. Just in cheers. Finally welcome to the 3rd game of the 3rd day of the battle section. Pumpkin-kun announced. The 3rd game will follow, Pumpkin. They are Lagoses Dolia of Team Fairy Tale B vs Alexei of Raventail. Loud noise. Many people on the court know what the feud between Fairy Tale and Raventail is. I didn't expect this to be their battle. In an instant, countless people were boiling. Lagoses, you have to do your best. Mira Jane smiled and cheered. Gajeel muttered, no need to worry about him at all. But Juvia has a bad feeling. Juvia worried. And Dieter also got up and said, go ahead, prepare for the worst. Their cheating will definitely not be seen by other people, so it is likely that only you can bear it. Lagoses walked outside with his clothes on. Ah, I get it. No matter how they cheat, I will definitely win. Appear. Mr. Ujima, this is another father-son guild showdown after the first day, said Chabati, a live report. Ujima nodded, yeah. Then Lahal, who was approaching the other side secretly, asked in a low voice, Lahal, do you have a soldier with your troops here? Huh. Lahal didn't understand, but nodded. Bring some people, after all, this is the rule. Ujima hurriedly said, you have to monitor Raventail's movements at all times, and if they do something improper, immediately stop the game. At the same time, Makarov also immediately arranged for someone to monitor Raventail at the designated location. Even the B team is here to watch the field. It's useless. The way Raventail cheated is definitely not easy, so you can't see it. Dieter stretched and walked outside. Where are you going, Dieter? Mirajane asked hastily. Dieter waved his hand. There will be some problems later, but it's not a big deal, I'll withdraw first. People go. Mirajane. Several people thought Dieter was strange. Really, didn't he stop him from killing last night, and he's still having sex? Mirajane muttered. The game continues. Dieter has left the scene. I was thinking about whether to meet Lucy in the future. After all, the Dragon King Festival will start soon, and getting familiar with him seems to be a good suggestion. Dragon King Festival. Killing a dragon with my current strength should be a bit reluctant, and I need to wait a little longer, Dieter thought to himself. Wait until night falls. The third day of the game has ended, and after returning to the hotel where he rested, he also learned the current game score. First place. Team Fairy Tail B, 47 points. Second place. Swordbite Tiger, 32 points. Third. Mermaid Heel, 32 points. Fourth place. Team Fairy Tail, 27 points. Fifth place. Scales of Snake Princess, 21 points. Sixth. Blue Pegasus, 17 points. Seventh place. Four Puppies, 13 points. It stands to reason that the B team has now used the second place score difference of more than 10 points. Basically, you can pay homage to become the first. But Dieter knew that their B team would be disbanded when Raventail was dropped. I don't know how tomorrow's team will be arranged, Dieter thought to himself. He still wants to continue the competition, because the skill points obtained in the competition are definitely more than those who rescue Lucy, but the specific method still depends on the arrangements for tomorrow. Forget it. Let's rest early, Dieter muttered. Dieter gave up on meeting future Lucy. On the fourth day, the great demon fighting and martial arts. The live report announced the rules of the competition. For part of the competition, each team will send one player to participate. Announcing the game. Each random team starts to discuss who should choose to enter the field at this stage. Team B. Juvia is best for naval battles, Dieter, Mirajane said. Juvia also looked at Dieter, hoping to play. However, Dieter shook his head directly. The person sent by the Swordbite Tiger today is a woman named Minerva. This woman possesses the magic of the absolute domain, and no one is invincible within her range, and they still have a personal feud with us. The guild will definitely target it deliberately. So just let me play, and you can rest well.
Dieter got up and walked outside. Although several people felt that something was wrong, they still decided to follow Dieter's plan.
Players appear. The guild spectator. How did Team B let Dieter play? Juvia should be the most suitable for the naval battle. Kana wondered. Makarov shook his head. Maybe Dieter has some ideas, it would be nice to have him on stage. Team A sent Lucy, and it looks like they are going to be ashamed, Macau said. All teams are on the field. In the middle, a huge water polo appeared, and all the members entered the water in turn. Live report Chabati said. Now the players are all entering the water one by one, and the rule of the game this time is that the player is out of the game when he is hit by the water polo. The last one is the winner. However, when there are only 2 players left on the field, a special rule will be added to the game. It's called the 5-minute rule. The timer starts when there are only 2 players on the field, and the player who is out within 5 minutes will be the last player. Inside the water polo, there are only 2 men out of 7 contestants. Naturally, it is the first choice to be attacked, and several girls from the guild attacked them. Boys, let's go first. The mermaid heel contestants hit the 4 puppies as they spoke. The members of the 4 puppies couldn't dodge in time and were directly knocked out, instantly eliminating one member. It's only you now. The members of Mermaid Heel attacked Dieter, obviously intending to eliminate Dieter. The naval battle should affect Dieter, his abilities should be limited, Makarov thought. Macau complained. So it would be great to have Juvia play. I don't understand why Dieter has to play. This kind of game is obviously suitable for Juvia. Who knows? It'd be a joke if Dieter got shot. Kana was drinking. Team A and Team B are worried about Dieter, afraid that he will go wrong at this stage. Inside the water polo. Dieter said, fortunately, after the system upgrade, the weakness of the devil fruit's fear of seawater disappeared, otherwise I would not dare to come. Look at the attacking opponent. Dieter crossed his hands in front of him, and a white halo wrapped his fists together. Also not far away. Minerva stroked Tai Chi with both hands as if planning to use magic. Dieter was obviously much faster than her, however. He laughed wildly. Give me all the way out. Double fists suddenly used. Dieter hit the left and right sides, the cracks in the shattered space appeared, and the half-human high lines on both sides of the branch. Wow, the sea is shaking. All the contestants were amazed. I saw a tsunami tornado that disliked the unruly tsunami in the water polo. The huge water polo appeared strange, and both Dieter's water polos swayed in ripples. The tornado broke through the water polo like a dragon in the water. The contestants could not keep their bodies in the seawater. The seawater flowed unscrupulously. A large amount of seawater was lifted up, and roared away at the contestants invisibly. Wow! When needed, several contestants were overturned by the turbulent seawater. Countless people who saw it were stunned. So what the hell is going on with that magic, and why can it cause such a strong tsunami? Macau complained. Kana stared blankly. It's amazing, as expected of Dieter. What is it? It has such power. Both Makarov and Mavis raised their eyebrows. Row is that they couldn't figure out what was going on for a while. The contestants are almost wiped out. The live report Chabati was also stunned, and immediately answered. It can be seen that Dieter used a violent force to overturn the originally calm and turbulent sea, and countless tornadoes raged in the sea. He succeeded in knocking out everyone except Lucy from the Fairy Tale team and Minerva from the Swordbite Tiger, which shows that his strength is still extremely powerful. So will he knock out Minerva of the Swordbite Tiger next? Let us wait and see. On the side of Swordbite Tiger, several members were obviously very relieved about Minerva. The eldest miss is really bad. She has the ability to beat everyone out, but she just doesn't need it. Rogue smiled. Sting looked at Dieter in the water polo and smiled. He is really strong, but unfortunately, he still has to be subdued by the eldest lady today. Let's be taught a lesson honestly. As they stated. At this moment, Minerva in the water polo is ready to make a move. Fairy Tale. I could beat you all out, but that's too boring. Try this trick. Minerva was talking about shooting two things that looked like space. Slowly hit Lucy and Dieter, seemingly unconcerned about hitting both of them. Brother Dieter. Lucy was busy calling, and didn't know what the water polo was. People could breathe and speak, and they could also transmit sound. Minerva smiled and waited for the magic to work. However, space magic? Ah, Dieter laughed. The fist contains a white halo, and it blasts out suddenly. The hanging fist shattered the space in front of him, and the crack was still spreading. Seeing that Minerva's attack was about to hit Dieter, the attack suddenly cracked open. Meow. The attack was shattered after a sound. Immediately, Minerva's face changed drastically, looking at Dieter with a puzzled look, not understanding how he broke his attack. Impossible. How could you? Minerva's face changed greatly. She thought of a possibility, but felt that the possibility was almost zero. Your so-called absolute realm is useless to me because I can shatter him. Shock. Dieter's words made Minerva's scalp tingle. No one has been able to beat since she had this kind of magic, and this one can break it. How is this possible? Absolutely impossible. She doesn't believe it. Reach out and wave to try to knock Dieter out. At this time, a white halo appeared around Dieter's body, and the shaking fruit ability was wrapped around Dieter's body, trembling all around. Space hanging cracking hanging. Minerva's attacks were ineffective. Second. Shocked. The group of Swordbite Tiger found that their eldest lady's attack seemed to be ineffective. All were pale. Clenching his fists, he gritted his teeth in fear, and wanted to smash his teeth into pieces. It's impossible. Mrs. Magic is invincible. Why is it invalid for that guy? Rogue can't believe it. No. This must be fake. If the eldest lady's magic is invalid, then isn't he? Sting can't keep thinking about it. The two cats were also very worried about the eldest lady, and seemed to be afraid of something. In water polo, Minerva attacked again, but unfortunately it was still shattered by Dieter. Too weak. Dieter shook his head regretfully. Get out when your body wants to. That Minerva immediately used magic to stop it in front of him. But Dieter's strength is that she can easily stop it. The fluctuating space in front of her is shattered, and Dieter's shoulder hits 777 against her. At that moment Minerva just felt a huge force hit him. The body was hit and flew backwards towards the outside of the water polo in an instant, and it was about to fall out of the water polo. At this time, Dieter's body instantly came to the edge of the water polo. The white halo on the right hand shrouded it, and it shot out in an instant, and the cracks were distributed. The fist slammed into Minerva's back, causing her to vomit blood immediately. After the blood spilled, her eyes widened, the whites of her eyes rolled over and she fainted. The body fell from the water polo freely, and the Tiger of Swordbite was eliminated and won the third place. Beautiful. We can all see that Dieter of the Fairy Tale B team beat the sword-biting tiger out of nowhere, and the scene turned into a civil war between the two Fairy Tale B teams. Now that the 5-minute countdown has begun, let's see if both sides can survive 5 minutes. Shambati, who was reporting live, cheered loudly. Everyone's attention to the sword-biting tiger shifted to the water polo. Anyone with long eyes knows that the most dazzled person at the moment is the fairy tale. Even if they haven't become Fiore's number one, no one can think of anyone who can stop Dieter's attack. Not good. Lucy, don't say 5 minutes, I'm afraid he can't even last 5 seconds, Macau said hurriedly. Kana slammed his drink and muttered, Dieter shouldn't shoot Lucy, doesn't that mean the team will get 0 points? Makarov pulled his face. I knew that Dieter had beat Lucy out first, and now it would be unacceptable to let the two of them stay in there for 5 minutes. Makarov was helpless. Team A and Team B are suffering. They can't imagine what to do at this moment. Is it really hard to fight Lucy? The audience also looked at the water polo curiously. I don't know what kind of battle will come next. Inside the water polo. Brother Dieter, how about we wait 5 minutes? Lucy paddled from start to finish and got to this point without even taking out the celestial spirit key. I hope we can live in peace now, however. Dieter grinned and replied, how is it possible? I'm very professional, and it's so boring to be here, so. So what? Lucy was terrified and put his hand on the key pouch, ready to attack. Hey, my brother will take you to fly, hey. Dieter's arms suddenly became longer and immediately wrapped around Lucy's body. Waiting for Lucy to react, Dieter jerked. Lucy's body spins instantly. Ah, Lucy screamed in horror. The body is constantly spinning in place, and I can't stop if I want to. It's not cool. Dieter asked curiously while grinning at the spinning Lucy. Ah, I'm so dizzy, I want to vomit so much, please stop me, Lucy shouted. That won't work. After rejecting Lucy, Dieter watched her go around in circles. When he was about to stop, he reached out and pulled Lucy's hands up, pulled her and started to let out the wind. Let the wind fall. La la la. Dieter dragged Lucy to run around in the water, and Lucy's shouting never stopped. Everyone. Confused. The audience is stunned. Even Chabati, who was reporting live, didn't know what to say at the moment. This scene. It's really embarrassing. Lucy, beat him, take out your celestial spirit and beat him. A team here. Natsu watched Lucy call, making her fight back quickly. Erza and the others next to them sighed and shook their heads, covering their foreheads, really not knowing what to say. Dieter is really childlike, hee hee. After thinking about it for a long time, Makarov could only give Dieter such an opinion. After all, this scene really made people speechless. And Mavis looked at the water polo with little stars in his eyes. Seems to be interested in this behavior. Ah. Inside the water polo, Lucy's body was weak, dizzy and uncomfortable. Happy or not? Dieter put Lucy down, came to her and asked. Ah. I'm not happy. Of course Lucy wouldn't say anything happy, here he retorted. Well, let's fight. Dieter smacking his lips. Throw Lucy up again. Ah, don't wow. Lucy cried out miserably, unable to keep going no matter what. Since we don't fight, let's continue to play, it's fun, don't worry. Dieter's body moved rapidly. Continue the touch out and catch. 5 minutes passed quickly. Seeing that the time was up, Dieter yawned and pulled the dizzy Lucy to the edge of the water polo. The hand controlling Lucy hit Dieter. Dieter fell out of the water polo, ending the game. Shocked. Fact report. Chabati was astonished. Lucy from Team A pushed Dieter out of the water polo while Team B wasn't looking. Could this be Lucy's plan? It's unbelievable. In this naval competition, the first place winner was Lucy from the Fairy Tale team. Wow. The audience applauded uncontrollably. It doesn't really matter who comes first. Lucy's body wobbled back to his senses, and even though his head was still very slow, his eyes were full of wonder. Unexpectedly, she was the one who won the first place. Team B. Allah, I didn't expect D to give up the first place. What happened? Mirajane replied with a smile. Both Lagosas and Gajil looked at Dieter contemptuously. And Dieter shrugged. There are currently 7 teams, it is impossible for the host to let this continue, 80% of them want us to merge. Several people love browse. With a suspicious look, I went to find the team assembly. Going to ask later. Inside the ward. Although Lucy was not injured much, but after being teased by Dieter for so long, his head was also dizzy and lay on the ward. Both teams are assembled here. Dieter, you really know how to play. Got Lucy in the ward. Gray complained. The rest were also speechless. They never thought that Dieter would toss Lucy in the water polo for 5 minutes. Ha. I can't let me or her be the last. Dieter replied with a smile. Creak. President Makarov came in from outside. Are all members of Team A and Team B here? Makarov came in and asked. Everyone turned to look over. Makarov continued. I just received an order from the organizer to merge our NB teams together. Merge. Why did it? It's really merging the two teams. A group of people reacted differently, and several people in Team B didn't seem to think there was any problem. But the A team is very strange. Makarov was a little surprised by Team B's reaction. At this time, Dieter said, I analyzed it for them, and because of the Raven Tail Zombie competition qualification, the participating teams became 7 teams, which is not convenient for grouping in the battle part. Therefore, the merger is certain, and if the guess is correct, it is impossible for the organizer to arrange the scores according to our team's high score. The team with the lowest score will definitely be selected. That's why I gave Lucy a 10. The A team felt very surprised. All looked at Makarov. And Mikalo nodded his head. Yes, our 2 teams need to be rearranged into a 5-man team, and the score is indeed 37 points for the A team. Unacceptable. Team B's score is enough to beat other teams, and now it has to be deducted. However, since this is the organizer's request, it can only be complied with. It's okay, if we think about it from another angle, we can also form the strongest team. At this time, Gray said, however, even if 5 players are selected now, the only remaining competition is the next 2-person battle, right? No. After tomorrow's rest day, there should be a 5-man battle on the last day, said Ms. Bolusika. It's better to choose carefully. Everyone was speechless. At this time, Makarov swept over the people in front of him before starting to line up. Lagosas, Gajil, Natsu, Erza and Gray, the new team consists of the 5 of you, Makarov said. Everyone around was a little surprised. In terms of strength, Dieter is the best choice, but why let Gajil or Lagosas? Dieter actually had a bit of an issue with this arrangement. But after thinking about it, it seems that none of this group of people can play, and it is good not to play. Dieter is too strong, take a good rest and give Natsu Gajil some chance to play, Makarov said. Everyone nodded in unison. In a sense, Dieter's strength is indeed a bit too strong. Okay. I'll make those guys understand how miserable it is to offend our fairy tale. Natsu was quite excited. Gajil also grinned. Ga finally got a chance for me to play. Several people were talking. Mirajane walked up to Dieter and said, if Dieter is boring, how about we go shopping? Damn it. Erza stared immediately. It's a pity that she is a player and can't give up, so she can only watch Mirajane leave with a unique arm. Battle scene. Fact sheet Chabati announced. The Fairy Tale Squad has completed its reorganization, and the combat portion of the 4th day is finally about to begin. This time the battle group has been announced in the battle table in advance. Blue Pegasus vs 4 Puppies, Mermaid Heel vs Snake Princess Scales. Swordbite Tiger vs Fairy Tale. After announcing the duel, Chabati said to the 2 guests next to him, the most anticipated match should be Fairy Tale, who is on the verge of breaking out, versus Swordbite Tiger. Yes, the new number 1 and the old number 1 are about to collide, and many people are very concerned about it, Ujima said. Chabati announced. Okay, let's get the new Fairy Tale in. Hula-la, clap clap, shouting, shouting. Countless spectators cheered and cheered, as if they were welcoming the upcoming Fairy Tale with enthusiasm. The 5-man team slowly stepped forward. In the auditorium, a group of guild members were silently observing. The strongest team appears. Let these opponents see how strong Fairy Tale really is. Victory is in sight. The match was extremely lively. Even Mirajane and Dieter in the city could hear the cheers. It's so fun, ah. Mirajane smiled. Dieter yawned. Let's go back and buy some snacks. It's a guild game anyway, so I can't help but watch it. Okay. Mirajane responded. The 2 walked into the alley and started to buy snacks. By the way, I entered a hotel and rested for an hour before heading towards the venue. Come to the viewing area. At this moment, the first 2 vs 2 games have ended. Are we here? It looks like the time is just right. Dieter and Mirajane came up and saw Chabati, who was reporting live, giving an enthusiastic commentary. You guys are back. Going on a date? That smell. Kana looks over while drinking. It was a little surprising to get close to Mirajane and sniff it, but she could smell it. Full of alcohol. Mirajane glanced at her and shrank back with a smile. The logos of both guilds have been hung in the arena. Known as the strongest guild 7 years ago, the fateful confrontation with the current strongest guild. Fairy Tale's Natsu and Gajil versus Swordbite Tiger's Sting and Rogue. And all 4 of them are dragon slayers. You can use the magic to fight the dragon. Wow. The applause continued, and the audience shouted heart to heart. Look forward to the collision of these 4 dragons, and wait for the battle to come. The battle begins. Natsu and Gajil showed their powerful strength, suppressing Sting and Rogue without a fight. But Sting and Rogue actually activated the power of the dragon on their own. turned the tide in an instant. Rumbling. The ground of the arena cracked, and the 4 dragons fell into the ground and continued to fight. Everyone at the scene could only watch through the magic crystal screen, and the 2 powerful rogues were losing ground. Dragon power, that's pretty cool, but is that all they have? Dieter muttered. It's not that he looks down on Dragonslayer. Mainly because the magic of Sting and Rogue exploded to this extent. It's basically several grades different from when Natsu exploded the power of the dragon. It is no wonder that some people say that the weakest is the so-called 3rd generation Dragonslayer. This level is indeed very weak. Fallen? Natsu, can't they win? Natsu-san, stand up. It's so frustrating. Damn it. The people in the guild realized that Natsu might be lost. Everyone is not reconciled. Only 1 step away from reaching the top, and now it is about to fail. Unfortunately, sometimes strength alone is not enough, especially against the protagonist. How strong can you still grab the protagonist's halo? Dieter muttered. Silent. Natsu defeats Sangyong by himself. Fairy tale again 10 points. Competition is over. Everyone left here with laughter. Dieter was also bored out to hang out, intending to look around. Ding. Congratulations to the master for winning the sea battle competition. The reward is 5 skill points. Now there are 10 skill points. Do you need to add more points? The cute voice of the system assistant sounded in my mind.
Added to the shake fruit ability, Dieter agreed.
Little Cute said. Okay, now the quake fruit ability obtained by the master has grown to level 4, please make persistent efforts.
Dieter disagreed, continued to wander around the city. It is soon discovered that Gajeel is walking towards a place with Natsu, Lucy, Wendy and Gray and others.
Where are they going? Dieter was a little curious and hung silently behind him. A certain underground mine. Gajeel, what the hell is going on here? Wendy asked. Natsu also asked curiously, why did you only call us here? Gajeel said, don't ask, just follow quietly. The 3 cats behind him were also curious, is it related to Dragon Slayer? Maybe. Having said that, the people watching the fun also followed. After, Gray and Lucy grinned and followed. Especially when Gray asked, who are you talking about? Because we care a lot. Lucy replied with a smile. Behind the crowd, Dieter also leaked an expression of sudden realization. It turned out to be here. The Dragon King Festival is about to begin, but unfortunately this plot has nothing to do with me, and I am not a dragon slayer, so I'm still a bit far from killing dragons or something. Dieter muttered. He is not interested in killing dragons either, but he is a little curious if killing dragons will reward skill points. So the mighty Long Shao said that he would also be rewarded with dozens of points, right? Followed to the deepest part, and also saw the destination of this time, that is the skeleton of Yi Fulong all over the ground, swearing that there was a very tragic war here. Front. When they saw the scene in front of them, the group was also shocked. This is... what is that? Animal bones, but what bones are so big? Several people looked at this scene in horror. Corpses are everywhere. The big bones were all over the cave in front of him, and the eye-catching scene made several people's scalp tingle. Dragon bone. Natsu murmured, this is the dragon's tomb. Several people were surprised. These are all keels. This place proves that dragons are real. What the hell is going on? These keels are. Who knows? Natsu said solemnly. What the hell is going on? There are so many dragons. What the hell happened here before? Lucy asked. Happy, behind him blurted out. Maybe Igunil is in this pile of keels. Ah, sorry. Realizing that he had said something wrong, Happy immediately closed his mouth and apologized. Gajeel replied. Our dragons have disappeared for 14 years, and their remains should be older. Galaxy. Wendy suddenly spoke up. Busily said, the Milky Way is one of the profound meanings of dragon slaying that Granny Bolushika told me. When he said this, Wendy dragged his chin and murmured cutely. Connecting to Tianchuan, listening to the voice of the dragon soul. I thought it was an attack-type magic, maybe it's actually used that way. Several people do not know why. They all looked over and waited for Wendy's words. Wendy said, the Milky Way may be the magic to listen to the voice of the dragon soul. If I can hear the voice of the dragon sleeping here, then we may be able to know what is going on here. Maybe even more news about our missing dragon. Immediately. Natsu and Gajiel's eyes widened, breathing a little too fast. Surprisingly, this statement is very surprising. Urgently want Wendy to start the magic of listening to the voice of the dragon soul. Wendy stepped forward and started writing and drawing on the ground. Natsu wondered, Wendy, what are you doing? Several people waited silently, watching the magic circle that Wendy drew on the ground. After Wendy draws. Standing in the magic circle, he began to sing, Dragon Soul wandering here, let me listen to your voice. The sky is shining. The stars are twinkling, and the scenery is quite charming. Softer. Those bones on the ground were shaking and they looked so oozing. Hoo-hoo. A huge dragon appeared, startling Natsu and the others. Even Dieter, who didn't know when he came behind the crowd, sighed, but it was a dragon, even his soul state was quite imposing. Hoo-hoo-hoo. The sound of the dragon's roar was deafening, and several people who were frightened suddenly shivered. Ah-ha-ha-ha. The expressions of humans when they are frightened are always funny. My name is Kilkonus, also known as the Emerald Dragon, and it is the magic of the dragon that awakens my soul. Where is the man who performed the magic? Kilkonus looked around only to find Wendy, the smaller and cute one on the ground in front of him. He immediately tilted his head and fell down and said, "How cute, was this little dragon slayer the one who woke me up?" Natsu immediately scolded. "Hey, you stay away from Wendy." Kilkonus refused. "No, I'm going to eat this little girl." "You bastard." Natsu fumed. Kilkonus laughed wildly. "It's just a joke to hear it. Humans are really stupid." As he spoke, he deliberately shook his head and demonstrated, "Look. The ghost can't do anything. Ah ha ha ha." Gray and a few people behind him also complained. "What is this unruly person doing? It's not a man, it's a dragon. It must be a ghost." For this new dragon, Gray and others expressed their confusion. "Or a few cats over there are more reliable." Sha Lulu asked, "What happened here?" "It's all dragon bones," asked Happy. "We awakened your soul in order to know what happened here in the past," explained Ponce Lily. Immediately, Kilkonus's Tsunere turned his head. "I have no comment on human beings, so get out of here." Happy retorted. "I'm a cat shouting." That Kilkonus also realized this and said, "That's right, that was more than 400 years ago, and the dragons used to be the kings who ruled this world." Gray complained. "This dragon is really casual." Kilkonus continued. "It was a glorious moment that we were free to soar over the sky, over the land, and across the sea. And everything in this world belongs to us dragons, humans are just our food, puff haha." Having said that, Kilkonus's face is not very good. He said, "However, among the dragons, there are stupid people who question the rule of the dragons, and they advocate the creation of a world that coexists with humans. So war broke out between the dragons in favor and opposition. I've been in it as an opposition, I hate humans, but I like humans as food." Gray and others were heartbroken. It is conceivable how miserable human beings were 400 years ago. "And what happened to that war?" Dieter asked. At this time, everyone realized that Dieter did not know when to appear behind him. "Huh? When did Brother Dieter come?" Lucy asked hurriedly. Gray murmured, "Don't you think that's the same as this? That's why you followed me." Dieter shrugged. "Well, keep listening." Kilkonus said. The two sides of the war were evenly matched, and the battle between dragons destroyed several continents, and soon the dragons who favored devised a foolish strategy, and they taught mankind the magic of destroying dragons. Let human beings participate in this war. Dragon Slayer magic, is that the origin of Dragon Slayer? Kilkonus continued. Dragon Slayers are extremely powerful, and they choose dragons that coexist with humans, and their victory is imminent. But then something happened that they didn't expect. Dieter continued. They started killing those dragons that coexisted? Kilkonus lit the dragon's head. Yes, the Dragon Slayers have become too powerful, and they have even begun to kill those dragons who seek human coexistence. And among the human beings, there is a man who has been contaminated with too many dragon blood. I feel scared just mentioning his name. That man killed many dragons, and his body was constantly infected with dragon blood. In the end, the man's skin turned into scales. Teeth turned into fangs. Its shape changed to that of a dragon. Lucy shrank behind Dieter in fear, and said strangely, "Humans turned into dragons?" Kilkonus said, "That is the consequence of excessive use of dragon-slaying magic, and the dragons that sleep here all died at the hands of that man. Although he was a human, he became the Dragon King, and the war that gave birth to the Dragon King is the Dragon King Festival. The Dragon King's name is a Kironisha, and it is a dragon with wings of darkness that other dragons do not have." When needed, everyone present was shocked. That dragon. Originally human. How is this possible? Everyone panicked. That Akiro Nokia turned out to be a human. Dragon King. Dieter Chingmei, he vaguely remembers that the one who taught Natsu seems to be the Dragon King. Is it the king of this breed of fire dragon? Or is it that Ignir was once also the king of dragons? Kilkonus said. It killed almost all the dragons, which is what happened here more than 400 years ago. ZZ. Here it is. After he finished speaking, Kilkonus's soul was broken inch by inch, and it disappeared. Always felt like I knew something amazing. Gray was ashamed. Natsu asked worriedly, Does it really turn into a dragon after overusing Dragon Slayer magic? That would be nerve-wracking. Gajeel worried too. Wendy panicked. What should I do? I can't help but use Dragon Slayer magic. Hear them. Dieter is very confused. In fact, he doesn't understand whether the excessive use of annihilation magic really has that hidden danger. He remembers that there are two theories in the original book. One of them is the dragon's energy, which can only become due to excessive use of dragon-killing magic. The other is that a Kuronoka became a dragon because of Zareth. It's possible. It took Dieter a long time to think that the first point was more plausible. Zareth is very powerful, that's natural, but the black dragon Akronokia is a natural disaster. Not necessarily have that ability, that is impossible. At this time, there was a sound from outside the tunnel below, and everyone looked over there in alarm. Soon a figure appeared. I have heard all your conversations, and our research is indeed consistent with historical facts. Do you know the demons in the Book of Zareth? The person who came was the leader of the Sakura Knights, the Croca's garrison of the Kingdom of Fury army, Alucardios. Die Leon Pull. Gray immediately woke up and turned to look at the person coming. The other people also looked at Alucardios vigilantly, and it was impossible to guess who this person was. Akuronika is very similar to those demons. We speculate that Zareth turned a dragon slayer into Akuronika, which means that the culprit of everything, Zareth, is the first step to defeat Akuronika. Alucardios explained to several people, and the expression on his face was a little weird, which made people feel malicious. Who are you? Down with Zareth. Yukino. Several people questioned immediately, and Sha Lulu became nervous when she saw clearly. White Knight. It turned out to be the man in the white armor in the prophecy. Alucardios introduced. I am the commander of the Sakura Paladins of the Croca's garrison of the Kingdom of Fury army, and my name is Alucardios. Yukino next to him also introduced. I am a temporary sergeant of the same knight order, Yukino Agria. Everyone was surprised. Unexpectedly, the royal army would come here. And listening to his words, it seems that there are some unknown secrets in it. Alucardios replied. We are secretly working on a plan that requires the power of the celestial spirit sorcerer, so we need to borrow the power of the Yukino sergeant. Wendy said. Celestial spirit sorcerer. Wait for me. I don't understand what you're talking about at all. Stop talking nonsense and get to the point. Natsu asked angrily. Dieter's eyebrows, who have been fighting next to him. He really couldn't understand why Natsu was so anxious. He obviously borrowed Yukino's power. Nothing to do with Lucy. Still licking his face, he asked, did this ignorant fall into a trap on purpose? You are Natsu Dragneel. Your battle just now was really exciting. Alucardios smiled and turned around to signal, come with me. Etc. At this moment, Dieter drank the crowd who were eager to follow. Alucardios also stopped and looked at Dieter strangely, not understanding what he wanted to stop for. Dieter stood up and walked up to several people with his hands behind his back. Staring at Alucardios, he said, I'm sorry for the leader who looks like a bad guy. Our guild is not interested in what you said. We don't want to go with you. We still need to prepare for the reception. Come down to the game, please do it. Brother Dieter. Dieter, they want to borrow the power of the celestial spirit sorcerer. Why can't you follow along and listen? Several people didn't understand, and immediately retorted and asked, obviously feeling ruthless towards Dieter's words. Dieter asked in a calm tone. Even if you borrow the power of the celestial spirit magician, what does it have to do with you? They borrowed the power of Miss Yukino. What are you doing? Natsu wanted to object. Lucy and Wendy wanted to say something too. Sha Lulu murmured. Yes. This matter has nothing to do with us. Why should we follow? What if he has bad intentions? Sha Lulu. Happy. Also called softly. Several people didn't know what to do for a while, and they should learn more about this matter. But Dieter is not without reason. Opposite Arucardios said in a heavy tone. You are Dieter. You performed well in the game, but I hope you don't care about this matter. Pung. As soon as he finished speaking, Dieter stepped forward and kicked him. Wow Lala Alucardios' body was instantly embedded on the stone wall, his blood was surging, and his chest was a little sore. Fortunately, he was wearing armor, otherwise he might be seriously injured. Do you know what you're doing? Alucardio demanded. Dieter replied with a smile. Of course, I seriously doubt that you are pretending to be the head of the Kingdom of Fury. After all, that kind of person should always protect the king, but you came here alone, considering that our guild members have been kidnapped before. Yes, I have the right to take you first. Hear these words. Natsu and others were also vigilant, and there was no result about Lucy being taken away. Now what Dieter is saying makes a lot of sense. Everyone is ready for battle. Lord Lucy, I can testify that Alucardios is indeed the army of the kingdom, and at the same time, please, if this plan is successful, we can defeat Acronia and Zarif. Seeing the stiff situation, Yukino immediately stood up to understand it and moved it with emotion. As expected, Lucy hesitated after hearing Yukino's words. Dieter, I think I can trust Yukino, she gave me her celestial spirit keys. Lucy helped. Natsu is also curious to know what the purpose of Alucardios is. Why don't we go and see? Gajeel said. After hearing the words of these people, Dieter knew that it was impossible to stop them. He sneered and sneered. Then go. I explained in advance that if you are arrested, as long as you don't die, don't expect me to save people. Gah, disappear. After Alucardios relieved his restless blood, he sighed in relief. Dieter. Ah, funny, come with me. The group followed the pace and quickly arrived at their destination. Hotel Inn. Dieter was sitting in the room, next to Erza, and there were Lagoses, President Makarov, and others. Pung. Natsu and the others rushed in, busy saying, Sir, Lucy has been captured. What did you say? Makarov widened his eyes. Gray repeated everything he had heard before. Erza pondered. Lucy was captured by the Royal Army because she was related to some unknown plan? Lagoses repeated. That is, if we didn't win the great demon fight, wouldn't they plan to let Lucy back? Ah. Dieter's cold joke rang out. The laughter was full of mockery for Gajeel and the others. It seems to be saying something silently. Dieter, what else do you know? Makarov asked. Dieter shrugged. Master, it's not that I don't want to say it, but I was there at the time, and I have clearly told them not to follow the Royal Army. They are disobedient, and now people are holding the handle. The guild I have lived for all these years turns out to be such a waste. Dieter. Lagoses reprimanded. Silence. Dieter's words silenced everyone. It's ironic that the fairy tale guild will be threatened one day. Don't blame me for speaking badly. The old saying is good. Good words are hard to persuade a ghost, and they all said don't go with it. If you don't obey, you deserve to be arrested. One by one disobedient to the other celestial spirit wizards to find their own way. Curiosity killed the cat. This is great, not only was caught, but also threatened by the handle, disgusting. Dieter speaks rather sharply and shows no mercy. Uncover the scars of Gray's people, layer after layer, and make them lose face. Ah, why are you talking so much nonsense? Go and save people. Natsu said that he was about to rush out. The matter has come to this point, no matter how much explanation there is, it is useless, it is better to hurry up and save people. Pung. Makarov immediately smashed Natsu to the ground, rubbed his chin and thought. The opponent is the Royal Army, we can't act hastily. They shouldn't deal with the people casually. Are they going to hold Lucy hostage until the Eclipse Gate project is aborted? Gajeel felt very strange, but I still can't figure it out. We know the state's secrets, why did they let us go? Maybe it's because it's possible that we can testify in order to convict a man named Alucardios in the future. Shah Lulu reminded. Aren't they afraid that we will leak the information out? Makarov said. Our family was arrested, we were still in the mood to enjoy the festival, and our mood was also very sad. However, this time, we can't rush over recklessly as usual. After all, the opponent this time is not easy to deal with. He added. However, we at Fairy Tale are not timid enough to sit still. Dieter. Dieter sitting over there sneered. I won't go, the disobedient younger siblings need to be punished. The Wang Gojin can't kill people, let someone else save them. Makarov frowned. He was a little unhappy, but he gave up anyway. After all, Dieter had persuaded Natsu and the others not to go there. Getting caught and threatened now really makes Dieter unhappy. They simply arranged otherwise, telling. Then Mirajane, Natsu, Happy, Wendy, Shah Lulu and Ponce Lily sneaked into the palace to save Lucy. Dieter at this time Dieter said again. Don't be happy, don't play, let Juvia play. After speaking, he got up and walked outside. Impressively, he has already decided to have a temper, and just sit back and watch. Makarov said helplessly, Juvia will play instead of Natsu, and tomorrow's game is up to you. Everyone immediately organized to prepare to leave. Erza sighed, I'll go find Dieter, on the street. The great demon fighting and martial arts entered the final stage, but even so, the atmosphere of the festival in the city did not disappear. Citizens are still immersed in a cheerful atmosphere. The streets and alleys are full of discounts for activities, and countless people are attracted by various jumping-off sales. Dieter, who was walking, suddenly felt a stare at him. Looking up at the rear. On the high floor, I saw a man in clothes looking at him, and he didn't dodge even if he looked at him. Future Lucy. Dieter wasn't sure, walked into an alley and used the Navy 6 several times to get behind the man in the cape. The man was wearing women's sandals, indeed the future Lucy. Who the hell are you? Why are you in the fairy tale guild? Future Lucy asked. Dieter understood instantly. In the future, Lucy will not have his presence on the timeline, let alone join fairy tale. I am afraid I have never seen him. Because I'm an S-rank mage in the fairy tale guild, Dieter disagreed. The future Lucy immediately retorted. Impossible. There is no Dieter in my memory. There is definitely something wrong with you. Did you also travel from the future to sneak into the guild? Having said that, in the future, Lucy took off the hood on his head and stared at the eunuch with his wide and beautiful eyes. He seemed to be waiting for his reaction. But Dieter's performance didn't come as a surprise, and she seemed to have known her identity for a long time. Future. Dieter raised his eyebrows. In a sense he was an unknown visitor, but of course he wouldn't say. I don't know what you're talking about, and I've been around since almost 15 years ago. Join the guild. Future Lucy, who loves good-looking brows, seems very puzzled by Dieter's reaction. You have to trust Natsu. Although he is a silly straight man, he will still protect you. What kind of dragon is not Natsu's opponent at all? You can just wait. Dieter replied. In the future, Lucy's pupils were slightly condensed, and he was more certain that the Dieter in front of him must have come from the future, otherwise how would he know these things? He hesitated in his heart whether to inform the guild or not. In the future, Fairy Tale will face the attack of another continent, when the tragedy is about to occur, and the entire non-Oli kingdom is in disarray. Countless people died in that battle. Natsu, Lucy, Lagoses, President Makarov will all die. Dieter thought for a moment and came up with the perfect explanation. Full of expression, Lucy explained to the future about a devastating destruction. How can it be? The future Lucy certainly wouldn't fully believe, staring in disbelief. Dieter sighed. Hey, that's 15 years later. Fairy Tale is on the verge of extinction. I was the president at that time, and to prevent that catastrophe, I could only come through the eclipse gate. It's just that there was a little time difference. It came 15 years ago, so I had to sneak into the Fairy Tale Guild and silently wait for the turn. Future Lucy looks at unique expressions and content. I also believed it a bit. If there is such a catastrophe in the future, maybe I really should come back to rescue. Take a deep breath. I see, then I understand. I can't believe it. What Dieter said was very true, and made it quite clear when and where Lucy would come in the future. This information is only known to future Lucy himself. So there is no doubt about Dieter's words. So in your memory this Eclipse Gate project will be successfully stopped. Will the danger be stopped? Future Lucy asked. Dieter nodded immediately. The particularly professional Bin Shishi continued. Yes, the dragon that appeared this time was controlled by the future, so Natsu and the others will stop it. Then you will safely return to your future world, and Natsu and the others will appear by your side. Flickering the future Lucy has nothing to do with him. Anyway, this is indeed a fact, and there is nothing wrong with irrigating the identity of a future person. Ah, I wish you success too. Lucy couldn't think of any language problems in the future, so he had no choice but to encourage Dieter. Dieter. Erza called not far behind. In the future, Lucy quickly put on the hood again, turned around and ran away, and now she can't be seen by the people in the guild, so as not to affect the future situation. Erza looked strangely at the fleeing man and came to Dieter's side. Curiously asked. That should be a girl, right? Dieter replied with a smile. Yes, who asked you to be my wife? These girls insist on dating me, so helpless. Erza rolled her eyes at Dieter's mischievous words. It didn't deny it. After asking a few questions about the girl, he didn't care anymore. Blow the wind with Dieter. From time to time, we talk about two warm and thought-provoking words. Dieter also took Erza's hand and looked around, followed by Erza's ticklish flesh. Causing her to tremble. The last day of the great demon fight. All combat. This last battle is about to start, and all teams are ready. The cheers from the audience were overwhelming. This battle is a battle of all members, and the only remaining guilds have sent their strongest members to participate in the battle. With the appearance of Fairy Tale Guild members, other guilds could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. Rogue saw several members who appeared, and his heart couldn't help falling. He said with emotion, Fairy Tale didn't send Natsu and Dieter. This is probably our only chance. Next to him, Sting frowned and remained silent, but he was somewhat relieved to see that Dieter and Natsu were not dispatched. The eldest Miss Minerva raised her eyebrows, recalling Dieter's terrifying strength, and she was not in a good mood. Muttered. Did Fairy Tale think he could beat us without Dieter? How bold. 777. Humans are strange animals. They are afraid of terrifying powerhouses, but feel underestimated when they don't see people of that level. Minerva at the moment is this state of mind. I feel that Fairy Tale despised her and made Fairy Tale regret it when she decided to fight. The battle begins. People from each guild are randomly placed in different locations and start looking for enemies. The guild is here. Makarov and others were not so happy. Alas. If Dieter is on the field, it doesn't matter who the enemy is, Macau sighed. I don't know what the president is thinking. With a cigarette in his mouth, Kaba asked, and Natsu, President, where did they go? If it were them, they might have won a long time ago? The original Mavis looked solemn. It was a bit of an accident that Dieter didn't show up. The plan was a little dangerous. Several necessary and important enemies were difficult to deal with. If he was there was no need for any battle plan at all, Mavis said. Makarov muttered speechlessly. Dieter is more casual, he is really not in the mood to participate in the war in this situation. The behavior of the royal army makes Dieter unhappy, and he may be disgusted. The latter words did not go on. Although Fairy Tail is never afraid of anyone, it might be a little tricky if Dieter really wants to trouble the royal army. He didn't even come to watch the fight. It was rare for Kana not to drink alcohol. Standing in the crowd and observing, she was a little curious when she couldn't find Dieter's figure. No one answered, because they didn't know where Dieter had gone. Now, Natsu's group, who infiltrated the cell to rescue Lucy, also confronted others. Did you help us by annihilating the king's army in one fell swoop? Why do you feel like you've changed? Why did you cross over here? In front of the group is Rogue, who has traveled from the future. The difference is that the rogue in front of them feels different to everyone, but they can't tell what is wrong. It's to open the door. In the future, Rogue spoke softly about his destination. Lucy hurriedly asked, you mean the Eclipse Gate? In the future, Rogue explained to everyone. There are two ways to use the Eclipse Gate. One is to travel through time and space, and the other is to use as an offensive weapon, the Eclipse Gate cannon. This is also the only way to defeat 10,000 dragons. The words of Rogue in the future make this kind of person feel weird. Defeat 10,000 dragons. Future Lucy was surprised, but also more skeptical about the future Rogue. That's a good thing to say. You are our comrade. Great. I can defeat the dragons. You can save the future too. Everyone believed in Rogue's words in the future, and did not have any doubts, as if they really believed in him. No. It's not that simple. At this moment, the future Rogue said with a serious expression, and began to tell his story. I came from 7 years later, and the world 7 years later was ruled by dragons. And less than 10% of the human beings survived cruelly. Of course, the Gate of Eclipse is not as powerful as it is now. If the dragon group is not eliminated now, the world will perish. After listening to the future Rogue's words, several people felt hopeless, did not expect that the world will be ruled by dragons 7 years later. Natsu immediately said, then let's open the gate and fire that cannon, isn't that easy? Future Rogue sighed and shook his head, but 7 years ago. And now, there's someone trying to stop the door from opening. Because of the guy's obstruction, the door didn't open and we couldn't fire the Eclipse Gate cannon at the 10,000 dragons who led the world to destruction. Shock. Several people immediately realized the problem. And the future behind everyone. Lucy's eyes trembled, a terrifying sense of crisis shrouded. She gritted her teeth and thought quickly. The future Rogue continued, and I came here to kill that man. Sha Lulu retorted softly. Your idea is too extreme. As long as you tell that person the whole story, he should not interfere. Pasolili also agreed that there was no need to kill at all. However, Rogue shook his head in denial. In the future, at this important time point, words cannot control people's behavior. Even if that person is persuaded now, that person will definitely close the door in the end. Everything is doomed. People cannot escape the arrangement of fate. The living will live, the dead will die, and that person is destined to close the door. As long as the person is alive, no matter what happens, the door will be closed by that person, said Rogue in the future. Natsu murmured impatiently. What you said is really hard to understand. Who is that person who is in the way? Future Rogue's eyes widened immediately. Drink it. It's you, Lucy Heartfilia. Gah, in the future, Rogue throws a black shadow, and the attack turns into a sharp blade. Catch it towards Lucy. Lucy. When required. Natsu and the others suddenly widened their eyes. Turning his head to stop, but Rogue's attack speed in the future is definitely not comparable to what they are now. Seeing that the sharp blade would run through Lucy's body. Sudden. A figure flashed in front of Lucy, his fist wrapped the white halo and blasted towards the sharp blade. Cracks appear. The sharp blade was hit hard in an instant, and it was covered with cracks. Pung. The sharp blade is broken, and the shadow is also shattered. Dieter. Brother Dieter. It's Dieter. Natsu and the others suddenly exclaimed, their faces filled with endless smiles. Dieter yawned, and moved his neck to look at Rogue provocatively in front of him. Hey hey hey. How dare you hurt our fairy tale's comrades with the mere scraps of a sword-biting tiger? I want to die. Future Rogue's eyes widened, with a strong sense of vigilance. Who are you? I don't know Fairy Tale or your character. I'm Fairy Tale Guild's S-class sorcerer. The voice fell. Dieter immediately rushed forward and attacked the future rogue. Wait. Brother Dieter, is there any misunderstanding here? Lucy called. Dieter pouted and retorted. I don't care about any misunderstandings, since you called me brother, then I will never allow anyone to do anything that threatens your life. In the future, Rogue had to bite the bullet and fight back. Always be ready to find another opportunity to kill Lucy. And behind the crowd, future Lucy stepped forward, took off the hood and retorted, I didn't close the door, and I wouldn't do that. And now Lucy nods and promises, yeah, I'm definitely not going to do that. And Rogue's pupils clenched across from Dieter's stiff future. Looking at the identical Lucy, he exclaimed, there are actually two Lucys. Then his face darkened again, you didn't realize that you closed the door. Lucy immediately reprimanded. What the hell, I would never do such a thing. But you. Future Rogue said. You guys don't do that now, but in a few hours you'll close the door. As long as you are still alive, the door is destined to be closed by you. Your words are not credible at all. Everything is arranged by fate. Shadows are condensing. In the future, Rogue will try his best to beat Dieter out, so that he can continue to kill two Lucy. Shit. Dieter, who knew the plot well, laughed, and the white halo on his hands kept bombarding the future Rogue. It was absolutely impossible to kill Lucy in front of him. Buzz. The ability of the Junjun fruit is level 4. Although it is still unable to overturn the river, it is enough to smash the scene of the battle. That vibrating ability blasted future Rogue out. At the same time, the ground in front of him was smashed with rubble, so Rogue would not be Dieter's opponent at all in the future, and no matter how strong he was, he would not be able to break through Dieter's defense. Humph. In the future, Rogue snorted coldly, and the figure suddenly turned into a shadow that was moving rapidly on the ground. Ah. Dieter snorted and threw a punch with a little force. The shock breaks the air. Plant root-like cracks spread in front of him. Boom. The ground shook violently, and the walls, ground, overhead, and stone bricks in all directions were smashed. Countless gravel landslides let out a roar of ruin. The future Rogue who had turned into a shadow also suddenly showed his figure under this blow. Blood spilled from the corners of his mouth. There was a strong difference in his eyes, and he was surprised that Dieter had such strength. Behind him, Natsu and the others had gold stars in their eyes. So strong. They were more and more shocked by Dieter's strength, and it really was outrageous. Dieter waved. You guys go first, just leave it to me here. Amazing. I'm burning. Natsu was ready to move, and could not wait to rush forward and fight alongside Dieter. Natsu, let's go, you'll be punched by Dieter. Happy. Immediately grabbed Natsu's collar and turned to run away, and the others immediately followed. They all knew that it was absolutely unnecessary to stay. Instead, Dieter will be tied and left without any worries. Where to escape? In the future, Rogue didn't have time to check the injury, and once again turned into a shadow and rushed towards the two Lucis strangely, and he was bound to kill them. Are you ignoring me? Chew. Dieter said coldly, the veins of his right fist rose, and he suddenly bombarded. Wow. Cough cough. In the future, Rogue's figure was instantly punched out, and the state of vomiting blood dropped again. The power of this punch was stronger than the previous one. No matter how strong Rogue is in the future, it can't bear it. He fell to the ground and covered his chest with a pale face full of helplessness. To be honest, I really want to kill you, but I'm always a generous person. Why don't you admit your mistake and let you go? Of course, the premise is that you don't chase Lucy. Dieter asked with a smile. Killing the future Rogue is too bad. It is better to stay and wait for the dragons to appear, and then go and learn some tricks with the dragons. In the actual combat experiment, how strong or weak is one's own strength against the dragon? Hee. Do you dare to let me go? In the future, Rogue sneered. He deliberately provokes so that Dieter can let him leave carelessly. Just wait for the dragon to appear, then he must be the victor. Pung. Dieter stomped on his face as soon as he heard what he said. In the future, Rogue grabbed Dieter's legs with both hands and continued to struggle, feeling very confused. Why doesn't this person play cards according to the routine? Shouldn't he be a strong person at this time and let him leave? How could it come suddenly? Although, I know your purpose, but I still decided to let you go. I just want to compete with the dragon for nothing else. Dieter's hanging product stepped on the two future Rogue and kept squeezing and breaking the stone bricks under his feet. He continued in a very flat tone. Then you can live with that small sense of expectation. When the time comes, I will let you understand that your so-called reliance is nothing more than that. Hey. Dieter also calmly left here after speaking. And that future rogue's gloomy thinking, did not understand what Dieter said before he left. It always felt as if the man knew exactly what his plan was. After thinking about it for a long time, it was useless. I stood up and patted the dust on my body and muttered. It doesn't matter, as long as my dragon appears, no matter who the enemy is, it will be enough to crush it. Dieter. The hurt you've done to me will soon be doubled. Ding. Congratulations to the guild that the master is in for winning the first place in Fury and rewarding 50 skill points. Do you need my help to add more points? The voice of the system assistant echoed in Dieter's mind just after leaving. Suddenly Dieter's eyes widened. 50 points? He didn't expect to reward so much. Master, please don't be surprised. The grand ceremony of the great demon fighting and martial arts has spread to the entire continent. It is absolutely terrible to be the first in Fiore's reputation, and it is very normal to get 50 skill points. Little Cutie answered the question. Take a deep breath. Although Dieter was a little surprised, it was very powerful for him after thinking about it. Simply add a little more, no matter how much. Add it all to the shake fruit ability. Dieter ordered. The little cutie did so immediately. Moment. The surging power poured into the body. The extreme strength instantly boosted Dieter's strength a lot. To put it simply, the current Dieter can completely slaughter his previous self, and even because the ability of the shock fruit has been raised to level 9, he can already cause landslides and tsunamis, and he can also do it by setting off waves. It's so powerful. Dieter is addicted to the power in his body. I can't wait to find a dragon to fight one-on-one immediately, but fortunately he held back in time. Ding. Signing in to the Dragon King Festival at the Gate of Eclipse will reward you with 10 skill points. Do you want to add more points? Sudden. The little cute voice echoed in my mind again. Dieter was ecstatic. Immediately commanded, Ga. Moment. The ability of Quake Fruit has been increased to full level. For a while, Dieter was even more excited, and the feeling of increasing strength is simply great. Then just wait for those dragons to appear. Dieter took a deep breath. Extremely looking forward to it. Croca's City, Central Square. King Fury is speaking. Thomas E. Fury said, so I am very sad that we cannot bask in the joy of the end of the great demon fight. Now the country is facing an existential crisis. The king told all the guilds present about the 10,000 dragons. You said that there were 10,000 dragons to attack? Akalonoya alone is enough to keep us out of the way. Even if it's more special than other dragons. But 10,000 dragons also. No matter how hard we try, we can't kill 10,000 dragons. Everyone was terrified. The number of thousands of dragons is more than the members of these guilds, and it is necessary to resist these dragons, which is probably countless times more difficult than destroying the Dark Guild. Almost all guilds want to leave quickly. Naturally, the king could see the hidden meaning of the major guilds, and immediately added, now the castle is preparing to implement a large-scale battle plan. That is the Eclipse Gate. The purpose of this plan is to annihilate 10,000 dragons in one fell swoop. There are too many dragons, and we speculate that a few or hundreds of them will survive, so everyone in the Mage Association, please give us a helping hand. I hope that I can use your strength to eradicate the surviving dragons. Please save this country. Listen to this. All the guilds hesitated for 2 seconds and immediately agreed. That's natural. We won't be defeated by monsters. This country that advances with magic is our country. Of course, no problem. From 10,000 dragons to a few or a few hundred, this is definitely a blessing for the major guilds. The thought of escaping from here was immediately put away. They don't need to be afraid of just a few dragons or hundreds of dragons, and they'll just do their best at that time. Everyone in the Fairy Tale Guild nodded in agreement. Hurry up and contact Unique. If there is anyone else in the guild who can fight against the dragon, it is only him. Erza. Where did Dieter go? Makarov immediately looked for it. The other members of the guild also hurriedly searched nearby, trying to find Dieter. Dieter. Erza Manmei is also looking for traces. It seems that he didn't come to the final of the Great Demon Do Yinwu today, and he doesn't know where he went. Which river should we fish in? Erza's answer is not so sure. If you can't find it on the spot, then it should be fishing. The other guild members nodded. Fishing was Dieter's self-reliant skills when he was a child, and it also created Dieter's unprecedented interest in fishing. I usually go fishing. Are you looking for me? Dieter squeezed in from the crowd and came to the president and Erza and the others. Dieter, good thing we found you, we got first place. Erza immediately cheered. Dieter nodded with a smile, swept over Lagoses and Gajil and other contestants and praised. Very good, you are doing very well, the guild is proud of you. Makarov hurriedly said. Dieter, a dragon will appear soon, and then you need to fight hard, don't run anymore, it's time to show people your true strength. Makarov's words seemed to imply something. All right. Dieter silently agreed. The Navy's 6th style full level, the rubber fruit ability is full, the tricolor domineering is full, and the shock fruit ability is full. These things give Dieter a lot of power. But the possibility of killing the dragon is still a little small. After all, the dragon has a very strong magic immunity. Although his power is not released by magic, it is probably weakened by dragon scales or something. Come on. In addition to Dragon Slayer, I am afraid that only a master of your level can defeat the dragon. Macau said. The others were busy obliging, apparently confident in Dieter. I will try my best. Dieter didn't say it all, he could beat it, but he had to fight to be sure. He also looked forward to the appearance of the dragon. I don't know what happened to Natsu, if Lucy has been rescued. Erza worried. Dieter hurriedly said. Don't worry, I have seen it there before, and they have been rescued. They should prepare at the Eclipse Gate now, no need to worry. Everyone's eyes lit up. Kana immediately cheered. Ha ha ha, I knew Dieter, you would go over there to see, saying that you don't want to worry about it, but in fact you still pay attention to it. Yes, you are duplicitous. It's okay to be the eldest brother of the guild's peers, and he really won't let it go. If you do well, as a big brother, you should lead by example. Even if your younger brother and sister make mistakes, you can't ignore it. The guild members immediately teased Dieter. Chairman Makarov also put on a smile, and was very happy that Dieter was able to take care of Natsu's situation. Nodding his head and complimenting. Very good, it's you. Dieter just smiled and said nothing. At this time. Eclipse Gate. Huge hanging hang. The steel gate is open. A mysterious and ominous magical wind swept over everyone. The door of victory is about to open. What a powerful magic. Maybe it can really annihilate the dragons in one fell swoop. Gathering such powerful magic in one place can save the future. A group of people couldn't bear the excitement. Lucy felt the magic power, his eyes turned into empty unconsciousness, and his body couldn't help walking towards the huge eclipse gate. Lucy. Natsu, Wendy and others are wondering what Lucy is going to do. That door is so dangerous and still heading there? No, the door cannot be opened. The door must be closed immediately. Lucy whispered unconsciously. Keeping moving forward, it seems that the door of the solar eclipse is really closed. Future Lucy also widened his eyes. Looking at the slowly opening door, I also had a bad feeling that the door should be closed. It can't be opened. This door must not be opened by, and quickly close the door. Can't open that door. Both Lucy called out, anxiously watching the eclipse door being opened wider and wider. Immediately. Many people widened their eyes, especially Natsu, Wendy and others. At the same time, the words of future Rogue will be heard, and she will close the door. It turned out to be true. The princess of the kingdom immediately stopped. No way. This is the only weapon that can fight against dragons. If the door is closed now, the eclipse gate cannon will not be able to fire. Lucy retorted immediately. The future Lucy also said, there is no eclipse gate cannon. That gate is a gate that can connect time and space. The princess argues. Unleash its stored magic and that's the eclipse gate cannon. Lucy denied, no, it's not a weapon at all, that door. As connected to the time and space 400 years ago. Yo. Long. Shock. The violent vibration sounded, it seemed to be the sound of the ancient giant beast stepping on the ground. Roar. The dragon's roar came from the door of the eclipse. The king's army, the princess, and the others all widened their eyes, their scalps tingling, and they felt shivering. How come? What is that sound, and why did it come from the eclipse gate? What is it? Countless people are in confusion. All the people looked at the door in unison, as if waiting for something. Long. The huge dragon claws appeared, and the stone bricks were shattered when they stepped on the ground. The princess narrowed her eyes and said in horror, the dragon actually came out of the door. Roar. The dragon's roar. The sound wave overturned the soldiers of the king's army in front of him. The ground and nearby buildings were completely shattered by this roar, and it was as dilapidated as the end of the world. Bearing the brunt of the dragon raised its claws and slammed to the ground. The ground cracked in an instant, and several hideous cracks extended into the distance, shattering countless buildings with just one blow. Everyone like Natsu couldn't resist. He fell to the ground in embarrassment, covering his face and looking at the giant dragon. After a dragon came out, another dragon claw stepped out behind him. It was also the body of a giant, feeling terrifying despair. Another one. What the hell is going on here? He came out of the door again. Why are these dragons here? The soldiers of the king's army were paralyzed on the ground. The power of a dragon was so powerful, and now there are still so many dragons coming out of it. How could this possibly be something they could deal with? In the future, Lucy immediately grabbed the princess's shoulders and asked, "How can I close the door? Tell me quickly." The princess swallowed. Countless cold sweat oozes out of his face, and he stiffly raises his arm to point not far away. On the pedestal over there. After hearing the answer, the two Lucy rushed over there, desperately rushing over, ignoring the scars that the dragons caused him. Tears fell from the princess's face, and her body trembled as she said, 10,000 dragons came through this door. Wendy over there was busy asking, "Sister Lucy, how did you find out?" Lucy rushed over and replied, "I didn't find it, but Grandpa Crew has been investigating. Just now, he finally completely parsed this door. This is a device that combines the magic of the Book of Zareth and celestial spirit magic. It could have been used to specify time coordinates and move in time and space. But only today is different. That moon interferes with the magic, so the door is out of control, the same way it was 400 years ago. In other words, the era of dragon survival is connected." Lucy's words shocked countless people. The princess was crying with remorse, her body trembling uncontrollably. Others felt a deep sense of despair. Especially when they saw the dragons file out, the destructive force made them feel the end of the world. Guild office. All the people stared at the shattered building in the distance. What was that just now? Come yet. Over there at the castle. Those dragons actually appeared in the direction of the castle. Countless people looked at the distance, and the terrifying power made them feel outrageous. The dragon has appeared, so the next thing to do is to start. Dieter looked in the direction of the castle, moved his body and walked over there. "Dieter, stay safe." Seeing that Dieter was ready to fight, Erza quickly cared. "You too." Dieter waved his hand and came to the eclipse gate in the direction of the castle faster and faster. Looking at the 7 dragons flying in the sky, they also want to fight. Soon came to the side of Natsu and others. "It's all about you, Lucy, Yukino." Just when Dieter arrived here, the future rogue also appeared above board with a proud smile on his face. "But 7 dragons are enough. To be honest, I can't control 10,000 dragons," future rogue said. At this time, Mirajane, who appeared with Yukino, was also alert. "What do you mean?" The princess said, "It was the Lord who told me about the future." The future Lucy is standing in front of the present Lucy, saying, "Did you come for this from the beginning? Listen to me, you idiots." The future rogue opened his arms and embraced the sky and said recklessly, "Now, the era of humans is about to end, and from now on will be the era of dragons." Dieter scratched his ears and asked, "Is the speech over? Can we start typing?" The wanton smile on Rogue's face condensed, and he pulled down his whole face and sneered. "Ah, Dieter, you shouldn't just let me go. I'm not the me I used to be." "Isn't it the secret art of manipulating dragons? What is it called?" F*K Jonglong magic. The name is really ugly, it looks like you sing." Dieter shrugged. Future rogue love. "I don't understand why Dieter knows this kind of magic, it stands to reason that no one knows." "It doesn't matter, first of all, let's kill all the wizards on the street." In the future, Rogue said that Dieter actually understood his own magic, but he thought about it and ordered it directly. Those dragons rushed in different directions immediately, ready to eradicate all the mages. "Let's get started." Dieter wouldn't care so much, and Rogue's strength in the future would be just that, not enough to make him vigilant, so he was ready to rush over to kill him. Etc. At this time, Natsu stepped out and reached out to stop Dieter who was about to rush over. His fists were raging with flames, and he ordered, "This person asked me to come, in order to protect Lucy." Dieter thought for a moment. Taking 2 steps back didn't deny Natsu's request. Seeing this, Natsu immediately rushed towards Rogue, and after a while, the two of them fought on the dragon. 7 dragons. Dragon-slaying magic is the most effective attack, so. Dieter swept over each dragon. He looked at the emerald dragon next to the eclipse gate, and then looked at Wendy. Ah. Mirajane and Lucy and the 3 cats all looked at Wendy at the same time, and the meaning in those eyes couldn't be clearer. "Come on, Wendy." Dieter patted Wendy's small shoulder and pointed to the emerald dragon in front of him to give hope. Wendy is indeed a dragon slayer, and it's just right to deal with dragons. "But, Wendy is too young to deal with it, why don't we go together?" "I think it's fine. Wendy is a dragon slayer." Each of the 3 cats spoke. They all expressed their thoughts, but they all felt that it was the most appropriate way to let Wendy on at this time. Can I really?" Wendy shyly twisted her footsteps and said in a glutinous voice, a little less confident. "Actually, if I can give others the magic of adding dragon power, I can kill this dragon, but it is obvious that the dragon's scales are very hard and have a certain degree of immunity to magic. So general attacks may not work at all, so Wendy is up to you." Dieter regretted. He just wanted to tease Wendy, not to let her go alone, facing a dragon. Allah, let's go up together and help Wendy resist this dragon, Mirajane said hurriedly. She still knew Dieter. However, he still helped to speak in time, and didn't want Dieter to continue to tease Wendy, so as not to be hurt by. I will try my best. Wendy took a deep breath, clenched her fists to cheer herself up, took a deep breath and watched the huge emerald dragon in front of her also prepare to fight. Ahahaha. The emerald dragon Kilkonus in front of him looked funny at the little guys in front of him, laughing wildly. It's so funny that a small human dares to resist the dragon. Opening the mouth of the blood basin, the exhaled airwaves stirred up the gravel on the ground, which is not weak. My magic can defeat dragons, and I'm up. Wendy took a deep breath and rushed towards the emerald dragon very seriously. The small body was in sharp contrast with the huge dragon. Dragon's roar. Taking a deep breath, sucking the surrounding air into her stomach, Wendy let out a lowly growl. The dragon's breath swept toward the emerald dragon. Boom. Ah. Damn, it's human. Dare to resist the great dragon, I will eat you. The emerald dragon was hit and suddenly shouted. The smoke dissipated. The emerald dragon was not in serious trouble, instead he blew at the few people in front of him. Moment. The clothes on both Lucis' bodies suddenly. Wow. That's great. Dieter sighed. Dieter. Mirajane immediately ran over to cover Dieter's eyes and glared at him pretending to be angry. Humans are yummy, but clothes are unpalatable, so I'm going to eat next. Emerald Dragon smiled and grabbed Lucy and prepared to stuff it into his stomach. At this time, Mirajane immediately transformed. They attacked the Emerald Dragon, trying to rescue Lucy. Pung. Mirajane's attack was very powerful, but it didn't hurt or itch for the dragon, and continued to stuff Lucy into his mouth. Wendy right now. Mirajane knew that she could only rely on Wendy's dragon-slaying magic, and immediately called her to attack. Not to be outdone, Wendy used Dragon Slayer magic to attack. Boom. A loud bang. The Emerald Dragon was hit in the neck, and it hurt immediately. Without a word, he threw Lucy out of his hand and grabbed Wendy with a smaller body. Fourth gear, Elastic Man. Dieter knew that this claw would be seriously injured, so he immediately entered the fourth gear. The body changes instantly. The right fist shrunk into the body and catapulted to Wendy's face. Armed color dirty. Rubber Great Ape King Gun. The arm continued to blow air, and the pattern of the devil fruit on the body became more intense. The shrunken arm was even bigger. Dragon Claw attacks. It has a strong bloody smell that makes it hard to breathe. The dragon claws had a sharp sense of tearing. As if to shred all the space, he directly ignored Dieter's unstoppable claws. Come on. Let me see how powerful the dragon is. Dieter's body sank, his feet inserted directly into the stone brick once to stabilize his body, his torso was tense, and he twisted his body to hit the dragon's claws. Hit hard with all your might. Dieter's eyes flashed red at the dragon's claw. Boom. The two hoists meet the hoist one together, and the ground will be broken when necessary. The ferocious cracked traces climbed all around in an instant. The earth trembled. The shaking of the earth dragon turned over, causing the surrounding buildings, the ground, and the air to tremble. Hoo-hoo. The wind blows. The aftermath of the collision between the two was like a 12-level typhoon, which instantly overturned the surrounding people. A large amount of gravel blasted out like a chamber. Boom boom boom. Those rubble smashed into the ground, embedded in the building, and the surroundings were in a mess. The storm made everyone have no time to watch, either grabbing the surrounding buildings to resist, or being blown by the wind to nowhere. The sonic boom is coming. Countless people looked at the colliding nodes in shock. The storm disappeared. The scene also became clear, and everyone looked towards the center, wanting to see the results. Several deep scratches were spread on the gravel ground. Right in the center. The deep crater with a diameter of more than 10 meters is like a trace left by a meteorite impact, and the scratches extend from the deep crater. Da-da. The end of the scratch is the body of the Emerald Dragon. And the sharp claws that the Jade Dragon swung out had broken a finger, and blood dripped on the ground. Roar. The dragon's roar sounded, and the strong wind blew up again. The Emerald Dragon roared. The mere humans dare to hurt the great Emerald Dragon, you have successfully angered me, kid. Injured. Countless people were shocked, and their faces changed from the initial panic to cloudy. From cloudy doubt to ecstasy. The dragon was successfully wounded. Marvelous. It's too powerful, the strength of a person can be so strong. He was able to injure the dragon. Which finger did he break? It's amazing, who is this person? My God, the despairing dragon is actually injured by us humans. We have hope and hope to win. Ecstasy. Countless people shed emotionally moved tears, looking at the figure in the middle of the deep pit with incomparable enthusiasm. They admire the 5 body cast to the ground. And the princess opened her eyes and asked curiously, who is he? Which guild's president can actually hurt a dragon? Alucardios, who was next to him, couldn't believe it, but he still replied, it's Dieter, the S-rank mage of the Fairy Tale Guild. This man is so powerful that he can smash a dragon. Shock. Alucardios was knocked out in the dragon's tomb. I originally planned to find trouble with Dieter, but now that he was able to injure the dragon, I immediately gave up the thought in my heart. He thinks that he is powerful, but he will definitely not be the opponent of the dragon. For Dieter no longer dare to look down on or provoke any plans, this kind of terrifying enemy is definitely not someone he can fight against. Mira Jane et al. Are also quite different. Brother Dieter broke a finger of a dragon, which is more powerful than Dragon Slayer magic. Wendy was also shocked when she saw the dragon's broken claw. To deal with dragons, only dragon-slaying magic should be effective, but now he was injured by Dieter, which is incredible. Hey, it's true or false, that's a dragon. Pongsalili also couldn't believe that it was really possible for a human to injure a dragon. He was too thoughtful. Sha Lulu also panicked. Is Dieter really human? The pit is in the center. Half of Dieter sank into the ground, he sucked in the cold air and shook his hand. The force is mutual, and the hard blow against the dragon is also quite uncomfortable. It stands to reason that he should not be afraid of attacks due to the ability of the rubber fruit. But in fact, it is not that the attack can be ignored. It seems that the magic is so powerful that it can cause damage to him. He heard the words of the people behind him clearly. To be honest, he wasn't very proud, because his nearly full-strength blow only broke one of the dragon's fingers, and the gap seemed a bit too strong. Fortunately, the shock fruit is many times stronger than the rubber fruit. Dieter pulled his body out of the ground. The power of the rubber fruit is limited, but the shaking fruit is really strong, and it should be able to move the dragon. Softer. Human, you succeeded in angering me. The emerald dragon waved its wings, and its body slowly leapt up, bowed its head and opened its mouth, and the rich dragon breath condensed in its mouth. Run, the dragon's breath is about to be released. 793. Going to die, really going to die, run away. It's over, the world is really going to perish. Countless soldiers called out in horror. The joy just now was no longer seen, and the dragon breath was different at first glance, and wanted to destroy the world. Now only escape, desperately escape from here. Her Royal Highness, retreat quickly. Others immediately said this, to leave this place of right and wrong. The dragon breath will destroy the city, leaving only death. Dieter, let's run. Mira Jane also called out immediately. Dieter is very strong, of course she knows, but the terrifying thing of dragon breath is definitely not something ordinary people can resist. This reminded her of the scene of Akira Nokia on Sirius Island. That desperate breath instantly enveloped the whole body. Wendy and the 2 cats did the same, looking at the dragon flying high, they were also extremely frightened. Dragon breath. The dragon's breath that is enough to destroy an island is really about to appear. Interesting. Dieter stretched out his arms to move his muscles and bones, watching the dragon's breath that was about to roar. You back off. Don't let this dragon spit out the dragon's breath. Otherwise the whole city will be destroyed, Dieter said. Wendy quickly persuaded. Brother Dieter, let's go, the dragon's breath is not something we can handle. It's a Dieter, even if this dragon is not as good as a Kuronoka, it's definitely not a giant dragon that we can deal with. The most sensible thing is to retreat temporarily. Pongsalili analyzed. Sha Lulu also said, yeah, let's run away now. Several people were very nervous. The longer the delay, the more dangerous it is, and it is better to flee now. Even temporarily is better than staying. Dieter. Mira Jane was extremely nervous and wanted to continue persuading. Dieter raised his hand and waved, and replied with a smile, trust me, you should step back. Mira Jane hesitated for a moment, but obediently led Wendy back, and came to the back of a broken building to hide. Her eyes locked on Dieter's body, and she was extremely worried. Bring it on. Dieter's fists were covered with a white halo, and the ability to shake the fruit at full magnitude was urged to the extreme. Bruises on face and body. The emerald dragon staring at the sky with extremely solemn eyes. The light blooms. The emerald dragon exhaled a terrifying dragon breath, and the beam charged towards Dieter on the ground with a destructive aura. Break it to me. Dieter roared and blasted his hands into the air. Cracks appear. Countless cracks spread out around the 2 fists aimed at, and the cracks extended uncontrollably. That moment, the people hiding behind them all looked over at the same time. The dragon's breath seemed to be frozen in an instant. Instead of continuing to cover Dieter, they stopped in front of the crack, as if confronting each other. Taste. Rumbling. The roar was deafening. The ground on the entire scene sank a lot like a knife, and the broken stone bricks and various buildings exploded in an instant. Immediately crushed to shreds. Shockingly, it can be clearly seen in the eyes of everyone. There was a crack in the dragon's breath beam. Not only that, with the appearance of the first crack, more cracks are spread on the dragon's breath beam. Out the crisp sound of shattering enters the eardrum. When it was necessary, the cracks quickly extended towards the emerald dragon in the air, and the dragon's breath was instantly covered with cracks that could be broken at any time. Sudden. The emerald dragon in the sky is a masterpiece. The flickering wings instantly stiffened, and the body staggered and fell from the air toward the ground. Like being hit hard. The dragon's breath beam also shattered, turning into magic power and disappearing in front of him. The city that was about to be destroyed was saved by Dieter's blow. Okay, so strong, isn't this strength a bit too terrifying? Fairy Tail is the #1 guild in Fury, and it has such a terrifying existence. It's no wonder that even after 7 years of decline, it can return to its peak. It's so powerful that it's outrageous. Humans can actually do this. I accept it. I can't do it if I don't accept it. You must not offend the power of the annihilation level. The soldiers exclaimed. Everyone looked at Dieter with numb scalps, and the strength of Dieter was beyond their imagination. It is also impossible to easily accept that the power of human beings is so strong. One blow shatters the dragon's breath, even wounding the giant dragon. This strength is not at the same level as those players in the competition. It can be so strong. The princess was also stunned. In her opinion, the dragon's breath would definitely destroy the city just now, but it was actually smashed by a magician, and even the dragon was injured. This strength is too terrifying. His eyes were full of curiosity, eager to learn about Dieter's experience. What made him so powerful to such a terrifying extreme? Gollum. Alucardio's was even more cold sweat dripping from his face, and he was countless times more timid towards Dieter. Frightened. I wish I could slap myself a few times. To even want to take revenge on a guy with such strength afterwards is simply daring. At the same time, he also decided in his heart that when the matter is over, he must not show any disrespect to him in the slightest, and when necessary, he must listen to his words, and he can completely abandon his dignity. Offending such a person will definitely lead to a tragic death. Same. Mirajane and a few people are even more pity. Mainly because he was deeply shocked by Dieter's strength, and the power of that blow was entangled in his heart. Impressive. Lucy was kicked out, happy, chased away, and Lucy hadn't left in the future. At this moment, seeing the strength shown by Dieter can be regarded as a complete admiration. When I remember that Dieter said he was the future president of Fairy Tail, I still didn't believe it, but now I completely believe it. Such power. It is impossible not to be the guild leader. Such a powerful existence is definitely a guild leader level existence. Dieter is so powerful. Mirajane is also completely confused. It was the first time she had seen Tay use this level of power, and she immediately knew that Dieter could be so powerful. Hard against dragon breath. Is that something that humans can handle? Posilily's hair stood up in horror, and he had a thorough understanding of Dieter. He is so powerful. I originally thought that Gajil's strength was already very strong, but now, compared with Dieter, it's like a sky and an underground. Posilily sighed. Sha Lulu also nodded dumbly. Dragon Slayer magic is the best against dragons. Ordinary magic is almost ineffective against dragons, but Dieter's strength can actually do this. I feel like Dieter is better than Grandini. Wendy was also amazed. It was the first time she had seen a human being able to smash the breath of a dragon, and she felt that even Grandini who taught her would not have the ability. Simply awesome. Call. Dieter let out a sullen breath. Looking at the place where the dragon fell, he also retracted his gaze. The power of the dragon is very powerful. Even the dragon's breath is not something that ordinary people can deal with. Fortunately, there is still a little gap compared with Akulu Nokia, otherwise he might also be injured. Dieter, are you alright? Mirajane and the others rushed up behind him, pulled Dieter to look up and down, and breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that he was not injured. Brother Dieter, you are amazing. Wendy also exaggerated in ecstasy, her eyes extremely hot. Pang Shalili and Sha Lulu's eyes were also quite shocked, and they were stunned by his strength. I'm fine. Dieter smiled and waved his hand. After this blow, he had a clear understanding of his own strength. Although it is still a long way from defeating Zarif and Akironoka, there is no need to worry about the lack of strength for Tartaros. That dragon should have been injured. Although dragon-slaying magic does damage to dragons, it is still relatively difficult to defeat them. I went elsewhere to see if I could find a solution and couldn't. You guys have a good rest here. See and smell the use of color. Dieter also immediately noticed that the others were in very poor condition. I also know that now is not the time to chat, and we must hurry to support others. Otherwise it will be too late to regret it. Okay. You pay attention to safety. Mirajane agreed without a word, and the reason she was worried before was because she was afraid that Dieter would be defeated by the dragon. Now that I saw Dieter's strength, I was completely relieved. In the future, Lucy also looked at Dieter affectionately, and silently told him that he must help. Dieter nodded and walked away from here towards a certain location. Abandoned ruins somewhere. Ultir slumped on the ground and looked at the grey sky with deep regret in his eyes. I gave up. Didn't kill him. But that's not the problem. But I actually wanted to kill someone who didn't have any sins. I am extremely arbitrary in trying to take people's lives, and I still haven't changed. What about the witch's sin? My sin can't be eliminated at all. I'm no longer qualified to live. Footsteps were heard not far away. With tears in his eyes, Ultir looked in the direction of the sound. What are you talking to yourself about? Dieter sat on the rock, eating some snacks he got from somewhere, watching Ultir ask vaguely. With a hint of relief in Ultir's voice, he said, I originally wanted to atone for my sins, but I haven't changed at all. I'm still the witch who kills without hesitation. I'm no longer qualified to live. Dieter continued, so what? Ultir replied, if sacrificing my life can bring the world back to the way it was, I'm willing to give my life. Clap clap. Dieter kept applauding and nodded in satisfaction. He concluded, so it turns out, sacrifice is everyone's freedom, but I don't think you deserve it. Ultir looked at the unique inexplicably, not understanding the meaning of this person's sudden appearance. Dieter got up from the rock. Walking up to Ultir, he reached out to hold her chin and lifted her head, his eyes were cold. Your life is not yours, I saved you, so yours is mine, now it's time for you to repay, Dieter said. Ultir's body trembled slightly. Depressed, self-deprecating. Really, but the world is about to be destroyed, how do you let me repay? Only by sacrificing the ultimate magic of the Arc of Time that I use can restore the world. Dieter shook his head. Release Ultir and turn around to pull away. Reach out and throw, take off the jacket and throw it to Ultir. He took a deep breath with his hands clawed, his eyes very dignified. Then I will stop the world that is about to be destroyed. Raise your hands and grab. As if grabbing the air, an unprecedented power erupted from his body. Anyway, this city is already shabby, so I'll make it even more shabby, and it's all over. Dieter jerked his arms. Moment. Ultir felt the ground shaking, and it seemed that something particularly terrifying was about to happen. Get up and look over. Immediately, his eyes were filled with horror. See you. The ground of the whole city began to undergo a strange change, and the ground cracked. The ground of the city is cracked with gaps, and the gaps are bottomless, as deep as leading to the abyss. Not only that, the ground of the whole city is no longer flat, and deformed into land with different angles. Countless people were amazed. People in the whole city fell into madness. They grabbed their hair and screamed, watching the apocalypse-like scene, paralyzed to the ground in despair. What exactly is going on? Look at the ravines formed by the entire city, and the scene where the ground is lifted up. No matter how hard Makarov tried, he couldn't calm down. The earth cracked. The whole city was completely ruined. Could it be that the dragon did this? Erza held the ground, shaking violently in disbelief at what his eyes saw. This is the end of the world. The rest of the guild also gritted their teeth and looked at the ruined land, sweating coldly. If dragons have this kind of power, they can't beat them at all. No matter how hard you try, you can't do that. At the same time, Gray and other people who were fighting also fell to the ground because of the shaking of the ground. Boom. At the moment when he fell to the ground, a beam of light passed through his face and hit the ground. Suddenly Gray was more than afraid. Touching his face, he said, if it wasn't for the ground, I would have died from the blow just now. He did not know who made the shaking and cracking of the earth. But he knew that this state would save his life in disguise. If it weren't for this situation, he might have been pierced by the beam of light and died in this. Not just Gray. Also, Macau and others were rescued by the sudden deformity of the earth. And at the same time, the huge eclipse gate also cracked open, destroying it directly. A time. The dragons of the whole city and the future people are wrapped in light, and they are about to disappear. Dieter sighed. The cracking of the earth did not last long, and the deformed ground quickly recovered. I'm so tired. Dieter sighed in relief as he watched the ground recover. Under the perception of seeing and hearing, although the group of people who appeared in danger suffered a little damage, they did not die, and they also shattered the eclipse gate. It's the perfect solution to the crisis, but fortunately there was no trouble. Puff, Dieter fell, but instead of falling to the ground, he was supported. He also felt something very elastic in his head, and when he looked up, Ultir's face was in front of him. So it's you. You're so handsome. After seeing the person, Dieter also fainted due to exhaustion. This is the first time he has used all his strength. The power system of the fairy tale world is very high, and the earth is also full of huge magic power. It consumes a lot of power to crack the earth and lift it up with his power. Even if he is very powerful, he has already run out of fuel to achieve this level. It's just a very good situation. Fortunately, it fell into the arms of the beauty. Eclipse Gate. Looking at the broken door, many people were stunned. The Eclipse Gate was destroyed. Could it be that someone knew our plan and helped me? Her Royal Highness the Princess whispered softly. The future Lucy said, "It's unbelievable, it broke the gate made of super magic alloy." She clearly knew. It must be Dieter who caused all this, because only Dieter could have done this. I also admire Dieter's strength even more for being so powerful. What will happen next? Asked the princess. The future Lucy looked down at the light on his body and replied with a smile. The Eclipse Gate is destroyed. The gate of the future will not be able to be used. We will not be able to come to this era. It is time to go back. At the same time, she also has some regrets. The Eclipse Gate is broken, so should Dieter also go? Until now she hadn't found out that Dieter was lying. It's all over. Future Lucy closed his eyes and his tense nerves loosened. A breeze blows. On a golden wheat field, Lucy woke up, and looking at the clear sky made her unable to react for a while. Lucy. There was a call from the hillside, and Lucy looked over. I saw where Natsu and the rest of the guild appeared, looking at her with a smile. Natsu ran over, stretched out his hand and smiled and said, "Let's go on an adventure." Moment. Lucy burst into tears. Yeah. The city is in ruins. The destructive power caused by the 7 dragons is not very strong. Although it is in a mess, the entire city is destroyed in a violent shock, and no one knows what is going on. Only understand that because the shock destroyed the Eclipse Gate, the dragon and the future people disappeared. Although the city is dilapidated, people are still alive. The carriage carried a group of people walking towards Magnolia. Dieter bro doesn't look very comfortable. In the carriage Lucy asked curiously, watching Dieter lying on Erza's lap. Yes. Erza smiled and stroked his unique hair. She couldn't help but think back to Dieter who took it from Ultir's arms, and Ultir's words made her wonder what happened. I owe him another life, which I will repay in the future. Erza didn't know what this sentence meant, but she knew that Dieter's Changju must have something to do with her. Maybe something happened that no one knew about. It feels a little reluctant. Sigh. That's disgusting. Don't sit on the horse, run back to me. It feels like a long time in Crocus. Gray and others on the carriage also chatted, and these few days really seemed like a long time ago. Magnolia. It's back. They're back. Everyone, come and see. Finally come back. Countless people on the city streets cheered enthusiastically, expressing a warm welcome with passion. People in the city announced, "Everyone. Let's welcome the winning guild of the great demon fight with the warmest applause. Fairy Tale is back in triumph. Wow lala." Applause broke out, and the faces of the residents who looked at them were filled with laughter. The warmest applause to the members of the Fairy Tale Guild. Very noisy. Dieter, who was supported by Mirajane and Erza, straightened his brows, slowly opened his eyes and looked around at the muttering speechless. Dieter, are you awake? Dieter, you have nothing to do you need to go to the hospital to check your body? Both Erza and Mirajane offered their condolences quickly. Dieter smacked his lips, stretched out his arms and hugged the two girls with a smile and replied, "Don't worry, I just used a little too much power, I'll just rest for 2 days, and you all took care of me along the way." "Allah, it's fine." Mirajane replied with a smile. "You're really worried about me for a while." Boom. Erza then smashed his unique head against his armor. So hard. Dieter rants. Hoo-hoo. The inhabitants of the city warmly welcomed them, so that they could not chat, but moved forward to enjoy the cheers of the victors. A lot of people. It seems that residents of the cities around Magnolia have also come. The guild members were also pleasantly surprised when they saw the crowd of residents around them. The people around them kept waving at them. He greeted the familiar people with a lot of tongues, and also praised the excellent performance of the players during the competition. The people in the guild are also very honored. Lively greet people and respond to every question. Well, now, I have asked Mr. Magnoliashi to present them with souvenirs. Foremost. She appears on the way home from the guild members. Chairman Makarov smiled embarrassedly. Souvenirs? You don't have to worry so much. Chief Shi guided and said, "Everyone at Fairy Tale, please come this way." Everyone in the guild was very curious about what souvenir Mr. Shi was going to issue, and they even had to go there in person, and this direction was still the previous address of the guild. Soon, everyone came to the original fairy tale site. A towering building came into view, and everyone stared at the huge building in front of them with wide-eyed exclamations. Fairy, the tale is the pride of our city, so we repaired the guild and want to give it to you, Shi Chong announced. Immediately, everyone in the guild has this infinite light in their eyes. The guild has returned to its original state. Natsu was the most excited, raising his hands and cheering enthusiastically. Chairman Makarov held Shi Chang's hand with both hands, and said gratefully, Shi Chong, you are such a good person. Shi Chong laughed. Where, this guild was completed in a few days by the residents of the city. It is a congratulations to you for regaining the first prize of Fury, and I hope to make persistent efforts in the future. Of course. Makarov agreed, cheering. I love this city the most. Within the guild, Dieter organizes his fishing gear and prepares to go fishing. Dieter went fishing. Ha ha ha, it's been a long time since I saw Dieter fishing. After all, 7 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Yeah. I've been sealed even if I thought about it, so I can still stay young. Macau, what you want to say is that when you get old, there will be no girls to chat with you, ha ha ha. Ha ha ha, the guild was very lively. The new guild is a great battlefield for its members. So fighting is normal. I haven't fished for a long time, and I don't know how the price of Magnolia's fish is. I hope it doesn't drop too much, otherwise I'll have to work again. Dieter walked outside with his fishing gear. Although the body is still a little tired, but the overall problem is not big, just relax. Just to go fishing to adjust the mind and body. Incidentally, selling fish to earn some living expenses, so that you don't have to go out and entrust tasks everywhere, and it is Dieter's favorite thing to be at ease. If you want to go fishing, I will accompany you. Erza Bay Dieter was going out fishing, also said a word and followed. The two quickly came to the fishing spot, and Erza also looked at Dieter as they prepared the tools and seemed to have something to say. What's wrong? Dieter asked, looking over. Erza asked suspiciously. When picking you up, what did Ultir say that he owes you another life? What does it mean? What secrets are there between the two of you? She was like a jealous little girl who kept asking questions, desperate to know what Dieter had done. Listening to this, Dieter is a little lost. After hanging the bait with the fishing rod, he threw it in and sat down and said, Ultir, the first time we met was on Galuna Island, when she pretended to be Leon's collaborator to trouble us. Treating enemies is generally ruthless, but I spared her life at that time. After hearing the explanation, Erza also suddenly realized, and then asked in a strange tone, You are so soft on women, do you have any bad ideas? Shock. Dieter's eyes widened. I'm not, I think too much without you. Deny the triple. Dieter's brain quickly revolved. The second time we met was on Sirius Island. She was a member of Grimoire Heart, and I let her go, thinking that her magical future might be useful. It's actually very useful, because with her magic, Natsu and the others can open the second source of magic. Erza understands after hearing this. It has to be said that Dieter's mercy was indeed a great help to them at that time. The second source of magic created the victory of the great demon fighting martial arts competition. After that, there was the Dragon King Festival. At that time, everyone was useless to the dragon. She planned to use the forbidden magic to restore the time to the time before the Eclipse Gate was opened. However, I was not optimistic about her at the time, so I advised her to give up the idea of suicide. She said she owes me another life for this reason, Dieter explained. Erza nodded. Taking a deep breath, he didn't ask any more questions, but accompanied Dieter on the shore fishing. After a long wait, Erza raised his head sharply and asked, What did you and Mirajane do when you were alone in the great demon fight? Did you do bad things behind my back? Huh. Dieter was speechless, wondering if the topic jumped a little too fast. Actually not. Dieter bites the bullet and says no. Erza pulled her face and walked towards the city without a word about her unique collar. Follow me to the hotel and do it again when you and Mirajane do it, no, 3 times. My god, I'm a wounded man. Hee. What is the injury? I'll just take the initiative. God. You little girls don't understand moderation. The guild is back on top. Therefore, a large number of commissioned tasks came one after another, and the guild members took the tasks enthusiastically and took action. The originally lively guild was also deserted. Dieter yawned and entered the guild from the hotel outside, looked at the hall where there were few people, and turned to walk on the street. Erza went to work with Wendy after tossing around Dieter. It stands to reason that he should have returned today, but it has nothing to do with Dieter. He has come to his senses. Women are nothing but pink and pink skeletons, and staying away from women is the secret to longevity. Dieter. After awakening, Dieter was about to go shopping, but suddenly he heard someone calling his name, and immediately looked over. Oncoming are Erza, Wendy, Lucy and Shaw Lulu. There is a saying that there are 3 women in one play, and a cat is added. One play is not enough for them to sing. You must stay away from them, especially when you enter the empty door. Erza, are you shopping? Dieter forced a smile to say hello. I decided to find an opportunity to leave. It is absolutely impossible to accompany women shopping, especially when there are many women. No, Gray and Natsu went out on a mission and didn't come back for a few days, we're going to check it out. Erza said. The eyes were very expectant, as if waiting for Dieter to say something. And unique indulgence. Looking at the people who were full of anticipation, they also said, then is. His eyes were getting brighter and he seemed to know that Dieter was going to agree, and he was getting happier. Be careful. Of course Dieter wouldn't follow her face, so she turned around and left immediately after telling them to pay attention to safety. Huh? Suddenly several people were stunned. Or Erza reacted fast enough, hooked him by the neck, and said, it's great, it would be best if you had Dieter with you. What the hell? I didn't promise, I'm going to catch 100 pounds of fish today, Dieter retorted. Erza nodded. I knew that as the guild eldest brother, you were still quite worried about Natsu and Gray, and you were willing to take the initiative to come with us, that's good, we'll go. Ah, you were forced. Dieter resisted desperately, but Erza couldn't let him leave, dragged him away. In a mountain range. The forced Dieter and Erza and the others come to the location where Gray and Natsu are doing their quests. A huge monster fell in front of him, so big. This is the monster written in the power of attorney. Looks like they solved it a long time ago. Several people were emotional. At the same time, it's even better strange, the monster has been removed. Why haven't the task been completed and left, what's going on? Shaw Lulu, save me. At this time, Happy came out holding a branch and supporting the embarrassed body. Oh, Happy, you haven't eaten in a few days, you look so ugly, Dieter joked. Happy also immediately said the matter again. Then they walked towards where Gray and Natsu were with a few people. Before they could even see it, Gray and Natsu were both facing each other miserably. Don't mess with me again, you stinking flame. Gray's entire face was swollen, and he yelled at Natsu across from him. I should have said that, you pervert. Natsu's face was also swollen like a big fat man, and even so, he still did not show weakness. It's all your fault that you are always in a mess. It's all because you're always dawdling. The two of them started fighting again, and they looked very energetic. After a few people saw it, they also breathed a sigh of relief. It's still the same. I'm still worried about them. Ah, Shaw Lulu over there asked curiously, did they fight for 3 days? Happy said. They go back and forth, but they eat and sleep normally. Shaw Lulu burst out laughing, yeah, this way of fighting is really cute. Dieter cupped his forehead. Step up to stop it, hello. It's time for you two to stop. When needed. Gray and Natsu immediately turned their heads and shouted, shut up. At the same time, he raised his fist and punched Dieter, apparently already red-eyed, it didn't matter who came to stop him. Pung. Dieter rolled his eyes. He raised his hands and squeezed the fists of the two, his eyes filled with malicious intent. Oh, a fight. I'll accompany you, Dieter said. Sharply. Gray and Natsu were a little flustered. How come Dieter is here? Why is he here? Dieter's mouth twitched, come on, two little guys. Rip off. Clap clap. After a random pickup, Gray and Natsu's faces added injuries again, but fortunately they have calmed down. Back to the guild. The members laughed at them unsurprisingly when they learned about the two. I really can't take the two of you. You are not children anymore. How interesting. Natsu frowned, I'll never go to work with him again. Gray didn't show weakness, idiot, I can't ask for more. There. Dieter sat at the counter eating Mirajane's egg fried rice, not interested in their conversation at all. And Mirajane came from elsewhere. Holding several documents in his hand, he greeted President Makarov. President, I just received an urgent power of attorney. Makarov looked at it. Huh. Reaching out his hand to take the document in Raj's hand, he checked it and muttered, after the great demon fighting and martial arts, there has been a lot more power of attorney for appointing a certain magician to complete the work. After reading it, he called out to the two who were still arguing, Natsu, Gray. This power of attorney is for the two of you again. Here again. Natsu was speechless, and Gray was reluctant. Lucy suddenly realized, so that's what happened, that's why the two of them went to work together. Erza said to the two of them, it's rare that someone entrusts the two of you. This time, let me get along well. Makarov looked at the power of attorney again, and immediately widened his eyes when he saw the client, this is. What's the matter with you, old man? I don't want to go with this guy anymore, Natsu said. The same goes for Gray, don't touch me, I don't want to. And this time Makarov's expression was quite serious, and he said to the two, no, you have to go this time, and you must not make any mistakes for me. The name of the client this time is Warid Sequin, he ranks 4th among the 10 holy demons, and is one of the 4 kings of Ishgar. Shock. Everyone in the guild widened their eyes. What? The client is one of the 10 great demonic paths. What's up? Why would such a powerful person send a power of attorney? At the same time, Erza is also quite curious. What is it? It's so peaceful here. Blue sky and white clouds, countless pigeons pass by happily from the sky. Hey, the air is so fresh. Lucy stretched his waist comfortably, showing off his proud figure. The wind is also very comfortable. Erza took a deep breath, reached out and brushed her long red hair, and a fresh scent wafted in the wind. It feels like we came out for a picnic, so happy. Yes. Happy, and Shah Lulu take a leisurely walk on the side. You ate my meat. Who wants to eat your food? You put on my clothes first. The color of your hair is too eye-catching, quickly change it for me. Behind a few people, Gray and Natsu were still arguing. At the back of the line, Dieter took his fishing rod and looked around to find a fishing spot. Hearing Erza and Lucis' words, he couldn't help but complain. By the way, this commission is for Gray and Natsu, so why do you have to come along? Erza turned his head. It's rare to have a chance to meet such a big man. But I don't want to see Dieter grumbled. However, Erza directly ignored his words, looked at Gray and Natsu who were arguing, and said, don't make trouble, we are going to meet a person of high status now. Lucy explained in a timely manner. We are worried that the two of you are coming here too late, but looking at the situation, the prospect of the mission is bleak. Brother Dieter, the 10 great demons of the Holy Spirit are the 10 best wizards in the continent selected by the council, aren't they? Wendy asked curiously. Dieter nodded. That's right, our president and Dinla of the Scales of Snake Princess are both one of the Holy 10. In addition, Jose and Jelil of the Phantom Lord have both had this title. In fact, the top 4 people are the great wizards known as the 4 heavenly kings of Ishgar. Wendy wonders. Ishgar? Erza explained. It's the old name of this continent, and it may not be easy to assign Gray and Natsu to such a powerful character. Everyone was very curious. What is the mission of such a character? Arrive. The last Dieter speaks. Everyone looked towards the front. There was a wooden house in the distance. Where is the location? Is this the home of Warid Sequin, who ranks 4th among the 10 great demons? Looking at the simple wooden house, Lucy was curious. Shouldn't such a person live in the most honorable and prosperous city? Slightly different. Pushing in, Erza took the initiative to introduce. Is there anyone at home? We are the wizards of Fairy Tale. Front. The clothed old man was washing with water. Shish. Don't talk, grass and trees like silence. After you understand this, close your stinky mouth for me. When asked, Lucy quickly closed his mouth. Several other people also have extremely solemn expressions, and this big man seems to be difficult to speak. Compare. For a moment, the sound of Warad's watering remained in the house. Peeved, Warad suddenly laughed. I'm all yours, I'm joking, grass, flowers and trees like human voices the most. Speechless. Several people pulled down their faces and were unable to complain. What is this old man doing? Is he really a big man? How can it grow like a tree? Warad didn't care about everyone's complaints, but warmly welcomed him. You are finally here, the wizards of Fairy Tale, who are Natsu and Gray. Glancing at everyone, he stretched out his hand to hold up the 2 cats and said, oh, you guys look more like cats than I thought. Happy, Shah Lulu. After putting the 2 cats down, Warad continued to hum. Just kidding, kidding. Wow ha ha ha. This old man is really self-sufficient, Lucy groaned. Erza seconded. Well, yeah. Warad twisted. Oops, I'm thirsty. He raised the water bottle he had been watering in his hand and poured water into his mouth. Grumble Erza took a deep breath, interrupted Warad's self-deprecating behavior, and asked, excuse me, but are you Mr. Warad Sequin of the Holy 10 Great Demons? Warad stopped his remorse and admitted, exactly, I am Warad Sequin. Seeing that everyone seemed to want to continue talking, Warad quickly said, just kidding. Ah. Everyone is stunned, this old man seems to be too. That's weird. Seeing that everyone continued to ask questions, Warad said quickly. Holy down. Lucy and Wendy fell to the ground, their eyes filled with resentment. On the table outside, everyone sat down and waited for Warad to explain the mission. Warad really wasn't joking when he got down to business. He said, I have been working on the greening of the desert since I retired, and I use my green magic to prevent the expansion of desertification. To put it nicely, it is charitable activities. In fact, it is just my own interest. So I have been walking in deserts all year round, and not long ago, I found a wonderful village. According to the literature, that village is called the Village of the Sun, and that village has the eternal flame as their patron saint. Here flames. Natsu suddenly became more energetic. Eternal flame? Warad continued. Yes, but the village is now frozen, whether it was a natural or man-made disaster. People, animals, plants, buildings, rivers, and even the eternal flames that guard the village were frozen. People say different. Warad continued. Although it is not clear what happened to the villagers who were frozen in ice are still alive. What? Frozen people are still alive, what happened? Warad said. The villagers are still alive, but they are frozen in ice and I can't ignore them. I hope you can save the village. That's my mission. After listening to the commission, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Natsu responded. So it is. Then things will be easy, just melt the ice with my flames. Then I shouldn't be needed, Gray said. Warad, however, shook his head. No, that's no ordinary ice, and your strength is indispensable. At this time Erza wondered. Please forgive me, Mr. Warad is such a powerful wizard as you. This matter should be solved by your own power. Looks like you guys have misunderstood. Warad said, even the holy 10 great demons are not omnipotent. We are only 10 people who have been arbitrarily assessed by the council. There are countless mages who are stronger than me on this continent, and I am just a small existence outside this continent. Said here. Warad looked at Dieter, who had been silent, and said, for example, this little friend, I feel that he is very powerful. Erza, Lucy and others all looked at Dieter. The client, Dieter, was a little stunned. Why was the old man teasing him? But seeing everyone around him looking at him, he was a little speechless. Reaching out and scratching his hair, he said modestly, Mr. Warad likes it, I'm just a small character. Warad laughed. No longer obsessed with this topic, actually, I know almost nothing about attack magic. If the young people are equal to the force, I have no confidence that I can win. Erza wanted to say something more. And Warad shook his head. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. Those who complement each other's strengths and weaknesses are companions, and in other words, the guild. Dieter and the others jumped to their feet. Involuntarily put on a knowing smile. We've accepted this request, by the way. Where is that village? Natsu asked. Warad replied. The village is about 2 kilometers south of here. It's really far. 793. Warad got up, pointed to a spot and said, don't worry, let me help you this way to the village. You all stand there and don't forget to take your luggage. Everyone doubts. Once in position, Warad said, turn right. People turn around. Dieter rolled his eyes to keep up, and twisted, happy, in the wrong direction. Just kidding. Suddenly everyone rolled their eyes again. Warad's body was surging with magic, and he was chanting an unknown spell in his mouth. A tree grew on the ground, and it was visible to the naked eye that it dragged the crowd up and became bigger and bigger. Gah, the branches grew extremely fast, rushing towards the direction of the village. Impressive. The tree is moving, it's amazing. It's like a means of transportation. Dieter yawned. I have to say that some magic is really very showy, and the visual sense is simply bursting. It would be great if he could also magic. Village arrives. Everyone jumped down and saw the village not far ahead. The ground is frozen, and the range is a bit large. Dieter looked at the ground. The village in front of him was a little far away. From this, it could be seen that Gray's father, the Ice Demon Slayer, was still very powerful. Go ahead. When I came to the village, I saw a piece of snow-white ice crystals. Whether it's buildings or anything else, it's really frozen, Lucy said. Wendy affirmed. Something must have happened here. According to what Mr. Warad said, the people in the village should have been frozen too, but they don't seem to see anyone. Erza wondered. The crowd moved on. Soon they saw a huge soul, and the group looked up. So big. Seeing that giant-like powerful ice sculpture suddenly exclaimed. Is this the village of giants? Natsu looked at the tall and strong ice sculpture in amazement. He didn't expect the people in this village to be so huge. Erza was surprised. I didn't think there would be such a huge person in the world, it's amazing. Even the dog is huge, Wendy said, pointing to an animal that was significantly lower. Anyway, we have to rescue them as soon as possible. Natsu took off his luggage, set his hands on fire, and placed them on the huge statue. Look at me melting the ice with flames. However, Natsu kept raising the temperature, but still couldn't melt the ice even a little bit. Gray reached out and put his hand on the ice, feeling the strange ice and saying, the tree grandpa said that this is not ordinary ice, and sure enough, I felt a magic power that I had never felt before. Can't you melt the ice with your magic? Erza asked. At this time, there are enemies. Dieter turned his head to look at several figures that appeared on the cliff. Erza and the others immediately looked over vigilantly. Who? Seeing the 3 figures that appeared, they questioned directly. On the cliff. Several people directly introduced, Treasure Hunter Guild, the Labyrinth of Wind Spirits. Ding. Signing into Eternal Flame is successful. Congratulations to the owner for getting a chance to draw a lottery. The probability of this lottery draw is 78% for nature, 21% for superhuman, 1% for animal, whether to draw a lottery or not. The voice of the system assistant came through Dieter's mind. To Dieter's surprise, to be honest, at this stage, he has given up hope for these unimportant plots. After all, the scale of the subsequent episodes is quite large. And the matter of this eternal flame is not too important, but I didn't expect to be able to sign in and get a lottery chance. Pick it up. Although it is unexpected, he is still very concerned about strengthening his strength. Looking at the probability of this lottery draw is also a little surprising. After all, the ability of the natural system is still very strong, especially in terms of elementalization. It is really good. Ding. Congratulations to the master for winning the nature system burning fruit ability. The upper limit of this ability is weaker than that of the shaking fruit, and it cannot be upgraded or passively transformed into an element. The words in his head confused Dieter, but if you ask further, you will soon know what these words mean. That is to say, even if the burning fruit is upgraded to full level, it is still weaker than the shock fruit of the same full level. Therefore, for convenience, the system does not directly start the upgrade process, and directly gives him the full level burning fruit ability. Then, wouldn't all the abilities I obtain in the future be directly maxed out? After all, there is no fruit stronger than the shaking fruit, Dieter asked in his heart. The system assistant, little cutie, replied, it's not a kiss. For example, the fluttering fruit, the wind and wind fruit, the giant Buddha of the magical beast, the fish of the magical beast, the door fruit and other space and time fruits, all of which are not as shocking after full level. The shock fruit is weak. Dieter came to a realization. I was a little surprised when I saw Fengfeng fruit and Dorman fruit. But on second thought it seems to make sense. Especially the door fruit, maybe it can open the door to the world after reaching the full level, and it is not good to go to other worlds. Alright. Dieter stopped thinking about it after soothing himself. Open your eyes and feel the constant flame power in your body. I can't help but want to try my own flame to melt these ices. According to the legend, there is a devil in every devil fruit, so will I be restrained by the devil destroyer or killed by the... After all, there are 3 demons in my body right now. Dieter was a little worried. The ice that swept across the ground, endured the idea of moving, and looked back at the members of the Treasure Hunt Guild. Sniff. At this time, Natsu approached slowly, smelling Dieter's face, looking very strange. Lucy, come and take care of your man, he's a little off right now. Sensing Natsu's anomaly, Dieter immediately understood what he was thinking, and he was probably attracted by the power of the flames in his body. Call Lucy immediately regardless of their conversation. What the hell? Natsu is not my man. Lucy complained, ran over and grabbed Natsu and asked, what are you doing? Everyone else looked over. Natsu scratched his hair in distress and said, I feel like Dieter has a weird smell just now, I really want to eat it. Fierce. Dieter was powerless to complain. Burning fruit is not only possible to be restrained by the Demon Slayer, but also by Gray's ice and Natsu's fire-eating ability. No wonder there is no need to upgrade. He doesn't even want such a troublesome ability to be self-sufficient. Lucy, I think you should guide Natsu in the right direction. He doesn't respond when he sees your body, which is enough to show that something is wrong with him, Dieter complained. Lucy scratched his hair and retorted, what? Why do you want me to guide, and Natsu, why are you staring at brother Dieter? Natsu also wanted to get closer to Dieter to find out what was going on. Seeing this, Unique immediately ran elsewhere. Over there, Erza and Wendy looked at the cliff again, and were still arguing with the Treasure Hunt Guild. The eternal flame is a dream flame that will not be extinguished for hundreds of years. Among our Treasure Hunters Guild, it is a super treasure of Super S grade. But the giants guarding the village are too much in the way, we can't get close to the treasure. For some reason, the giants were all frozen in a flash. So now is a great time to get the eternal flame. The 3 people in the labyrinth of Feng introduced the greed that could not be hidden in their eyes. Wendy said immediately, but I heard that the flame is the patron saint of the village and is very important to the villagers. Lucy over there grabbed Natsu, who was chasing Dieter, with both hands, looked at the 3 of them with difficulty, and said, if you take it privately, you will become a thief. The 3 people in the labyrinth of the wind spirit looked at each other. whispering, arguing over what Wendy and Lucy said. Takao quickly. You mean to say that the Treasure Hunters Guild shouldn't loot treasure? Treasure was robbed, that can only be super blame themselves. Long, it can't go on like this, we have to get the treasure before the mages come to make trouble. Ooh. Let's go. Boom. After complaining, the three immediately turned around and rushed out, leaving Erza et al. Messy in the wind. Gray couldn't help but say, they probably don't know that even the eternal flame is frozen. Erza nodded, turning to look at Dieter, who is running behind him, and Lucy, who is chasing and pulling Natsu skating behind him. Dieter runs a lap. In front of a few people, he couldn't help but said, the Treasure Hunters Guild is still a bit capable, since they dare to come, it means that they probably know that the eternal flame is frozen. And since it's a treasure hunting guild, it's normal to have moondrops. If you really want them to continue, you might be able to steal it. What? Gray was startled. Arzasha and others were also a little surprised, and at the same time their brains were spinning rapidly. That's right. They probably have moondrops, and as long as we have that thing, the people of this village can be rescued. Erza agreed. A time. Everyone looked at each other and thought of the most portable plan. Grab. Gray and Erza said in unison, and without a word, rushed towards the three of Feng Jing's labyrinth. So fast. Dieter was speechless, and the corners of his mouth twitched when he looked at Natsu, who was still chasing after him. Run away. Lucy, look after your man. Ah. Lucy was frantic, and it was useless to argue. Can only desperately pull Natsu's clothes, let him not to chase. But Natsu seems to think this is very interesting, and continues to chase with Lucy. That's it. The group chased out. Soon. Erza and Dieter reappear in the village. It's really difficult. Dieter was speechless and followed Erza to look at the huge group of statues in front of him. Well, I don't know why Natsu has been chasing you, but that's fine. Let them go after the Treasure Hunter Guild. Erza nodded. Dieter shrugged, raised his palms, and instantly gasped, because of the flames. Cough. Erza said different. Looking at Dieter a little surprised, when did you learn fire magic? Since I joined the guild, I have often read magic books, but I just learned the magic of fire, so the breath leaked a little, and Natsu would have the idea of eating me. Dieter's random explanation. After hearing what Erza said, he looked at the ice sculpture in front of him and said, I'm still a little concerned. The giants are all pointing in the same direction with their weapons. What the hell happened in this village before it was frozen? And can a drop of the moon really melt the ice in the whole village? Dieter said, it's very simple, if there is a serious danger that is enough to destroy everything, I will keep you behind me. Therefore, these giants must be guarding the eternal flame, and they can find the eternal flame as long as they walk in the direction they are facing away from. Immediately, Erza's eyes widened. Looking at Dieter with joy, he said excitedly, yes, as long as you go over there, you will definitely be able to find the eternal flame, and maybe there will be a way to lift these ice blocks at that time. After he finished speaking, he turned around and rushed behind the giants. Dieter, on the other hand, froze in place. He took a deep breath and complained, what are you thinking of at this time as a fire? Shouldn't you say a couple of love words while no one is there? Shake your head. Dieter licked his lips and slowly followed Erza's footsteps. In the distance is a mountain. Erza quickly came to the top of the mountain, and sighed when he looked at the empty place. It really wasn't that simple. What? Clap clap clap. Sudden. Erza's armor fell to the ground. She was shocked, and she was also a little flustered after looking at the figure reflected by the ice sculpture next to her. What's going on here? Looking at the child reflected in the ice sculpture, Erza said, I have become a child. She couldn't believe it, and immediately checked the condition of her body. After reading it, she was stunned. Whether it's the peaks of this ice sculpture or anything else, it's gone. She was completely reduced to her childhood condition from the inside out. What exactly is going on? Erza was really speechless, reached out and took off the armor on his arm, and murmured, is there any armor that fits this body type? No. Compared to this. Stab. Just as he was talking, his body slammed. Suddenly rolled from the cliff to the ground. Snapped. He suddenly fell to the ground and struggled to stand up. Erza raised his eyebrows. I can't control physical activities smoothly. Is it because the memory of physical activities in the brain does not match the body shape? Touching his chin, Erza suddenly thought of what might happen. Wendy calls herself a sister. Natsu wants to compete with her and bully her weak state. The bottom line is that Dieter probably doesn't like her smaller, unremarkable. Ah, I have to find a way to restore it to its original state after being killed. Erza goes crazy. That's why Dieter isn't here now. If he were there, not only would he not dislike it, but he would be quite happy. After getting up, Erza kept getting acquainted with the smaller body right there. Drive magic to summon a weapon. Clatter. A weapon was summoned, and Erza was sweating and muttering, "Ha, magic can be used." But the speed of changing clothes has slowed down. The consumption of magic power is increasing, the physical ability is significantly reduced, and the feet are so cold. She no longer dared to imagine that the dignified fairy queen would be very embarrassed to be seen by the rest of the guild with this magic. Ah, the fairy queen also has such unbearable times. Someone was talking behind him. Erza turned her head to look. Minerva. Why are you here? Minerva said. I changed guilds, this is my first mission, and I didn't expect to meet you. Erza looked at Minerva's waist badge. Immediately exclaimed. That sign is the Eye of the Dream Demon. The Dark Guild. Lioneba was not surprised by Erza's reaction and replied with a smile. The little girl wants to rule the strongest guild, and it doesn't matter if the white or the underworld is. What the little girl likes is to take all the scenery from the world of the strong. Erza said with a cold face. Is the Eye of the Dream Demon the strongest guild? This kind of guild is just a stepping stone, and the little girl has to go higher, Minerva said. Erza scolded, holding weapons in both hands. Have you abandoned your magister's pride, Minerva? She couldn't agree with Erza's claims. Tanshu stopped the topic from continuing. This is the end of the chat. Let's continue the battle, but what can you do with your current appearance? Immediately. Erza has figured out who is responsible for her situation. Seemingly aware of what Erza was thinking, Minerva explained, it's because of my companion's magic, and there's a lot of interesting magic in the underworld. Erza was furious. Looks like you didn't intend to have a decent fight with me. Minerva wasn't angry either. Hey, Dao has a gangster style of play, it's just a different way of thinking. You have to be mentally prepared. This is not a big devil fighting in martial arts, but a life and death fight. Damn it. Erza doesn't care so much, even if his body gets smaller, he doesn't show weakness. Waving the weapon in his hand, he flew towards Minerva. Hit the ground hard. The body leaps into the air. Sudden. His body stopped moving in the air, and someone was grabbing him from behind. Wow. Small Erza is so cute. Dieter hugged Erza like a child and looked at her with immense joy. Let me go. Erza was a little stunned, noticing that the current posture really looks like an adult holding a child. He said quickly with a blushing face, No, you are so cute like this. Dieter certainly wouldn't agree. Ignoring Erza, he looked at Minerva in front of him and said, What kind of magic is this magic? I must study it well when I go back. Dieter. Minerva had a gloomy face. To say who she hated the most, it would definitely be Dieter, who had cast a considerable shadow on her back then during the great demon fighting martial arts competition. Are you asking for defeat again? Dieter raised his eyebrows, and without letting go of Erza in his arms, he raised his fist and threw it out. The quaking fruit is in full swing. In an instant, the cracks spread and hit Minerva. Gee. Do you think the little girl will directly confront you? Your lack of long-range attack is the biggest drawback. Minerva stepped back immediately. He stopped after getting far enough away from Dieter. Cut. Dieter was disdainful, and the raging flames in his body suddenly boiled. Fire punch. The fist was wrapped in flames, and the surging flame fist roared towards Minerva. Flames are like pillars. How can it be? Minerva didn't expect Dieter to learn fire magic after not seeing him for a few days, and immediately knew that long-range attacks would be ineffective. Watching the roaring flames waved to block it. I'm thinking about what to do. Saddle. Just as Dieter was about to continue his attack, he felt Erza in his arms sank suddenly, and he returned to his original state. Recovered. Let me go. Seeing this moment, Erza broke free from Dieter, and said that he didn't want to be too intimate with him outside. What a pity. Dieter pouted. There is such a powerful magic, but it turns out to be useless. It's too embarrassing to recover so quickly. Ming Ove, just as I was thinking about it, a harsh sound poured into my eardrums, enveloped by a mysterious power. Dieter felt the power in his body receding. After a while, he turned into a child like that, and he was stunned. What the hell? Dieter looked at the clothes on his body and was speechless. Although the strength in his body did not decrease much, the child's body was still somewhat inconvenient. It's getting smaller, and Minerva is getting smaller too. What the hell is going on? Erza had just put on the armor and turned into a little girl again, and Dieter, who looked at Jungtha, noticed that Minerva on the opposite side had also turned into a child. Grandmas. Dieter was powerless to complain. Bright. Mobilizing the power in his body, he moved instantly and came to Minerva, who had become smaller, and waved his fist. Earthquake. Before Zhongxi could react, Minerva was punched by Dieter. That force poured into the body instantly, and the internal organs were shocked. Peefed. A mouthful of blood spewed out. Minerva's eyes were bloodshot, and she fell to the ground, losing the strength to resist. She saw Dieter in front of her and felt a deep sense of despair, once again defeated so easily. How powerful is this guy? Why is it that in her hands and Ben after only a few rounds, he will be defeated by a few tricks every time? She lay powerlessly on the ground, looking at the sky with humiliation flashing in her eyes. Dieter didn't feel any surprise, although his body became smaller, it didn't matter. The power of degeneration magic did not act on him much, and the power in the body was not degenerated to a too weak state. So it was good luck that his punch didn't kill Minerva. Taste, it didn't take long for her to become smaller, and it would soon return to her adult appearance. Seeing that Minerva hadn't fallen yet, he pouted and didn't go to make up the knife. After all, Erza is still here, and it would be too cruel to kill someone. Pitiful. Shaking his head, Dieter walked back to Erza. As for what to do with Minerva, I'll leave it to Erza. The latter stepped forward, standing in front of Minerva not knowing what to say.